Hi, welcome to another episode of Manifest Actual Play. I'm Tommy Cotton. With me, as always, Dan Barron, Addie Gia, Seth Lilly, Roman Mylan, and we are here to play some Manifest for y'all. But before we jump into the actual play, these wonderful people have wonderful things to talk to you about. So y'all should talk about the things that you have to talk about, and then we'll come back.
I'm talking about them now. This is what it's like, Tommy.
No preamble.
So our charity for this month is the African American Breast Cancer Alliance. Their mission is to build awareness networks and provide resources for Black women and men affected by breast cancer. It was founded by Black women to address the lack of resources and support for breast cancer for African American women. The support that was available to them failed to handle the barriers, cultural needs, and side effects they were experiencing, and so they founded the AABCA. It's committed to sharing crucial and life-affirming information about breast cancer to Black women who have the highest mortality rate in the US and promote the benefits of early detection and treatment. It's been recognized locally and nationally for its efforts. It is a fantastic organization that helps a lot of people, and they could use your support. Any time, money, or just spreading the word you have that you can offer them, we really appreciate it. They do good work. They deserve your help. That's me. Someone else now.
Fine, I'll do it. Hey y'all, it's your boy Roman. What's up? We're gonna be streaming some Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl tonight. Super excited. Get in the chat. Let me know what else you want to see me play. No, of course, as always, this is the Manifest Actual Play stream live every Tuesday night, around about 8 o'clock. Did I trick you? Did I fool you? Were you like, oh, what? Because you just clicked a random link or a button? God forbid?
I was fully tricked. I don't have Nickelodeon Superstars All-Star Brawl. I don't.
It's a lot of fun. Sometimes stuff like that gets tricky. So just press some buttons and make the internet do it for you. Remember how bad it was when Facebook and Instagram went down? Twitch will never go down, and I can give you my word on that. Never. And if it does, I'm personally responsible. Legally, you can call me out. Anyways, there's 3 buttons underneath me you can click. There's a heart and a bell, and Twitch will tell you when we're live. You can follow us, and Twitch will say, hey, it's Tuesday at 8 o'clock. You want to watch your favorite friends do their show? And you say, yes, Twitch, I sure do. Thank you so much. And then there's a big purple button where you can sub, and you can subscribe to our channel, and it's very nice. You can gift subs to people. You can give bits. You can do all this sorts of stuff with us, and it all goes back into making the stream better. We really, really appreciate the support that you guys have shown and continue to show for us. We got some cool stuff coming down the pipe, some new ways to support us, and you guys always crush it and blow it away with that stuff. And we love you and we appreciate you, and thank you for all you do. And if you're like, hey, I haven't done anything, what's he talking about? Well, then press that purple button and do something. You can do it. I believe in you, and I love you for it. So keep on joining us, 8 o'clock every Tuesday. Follow our socials if you'd like some updates on it. We got Facebook. We got Twitter. We're on there. We're doing stuff. We got our Patreon, which Addie will probably talk to you about a little bit. We got all this stuff, so please follow us. Please keep hanging out with us. We love you. We appreciate you. And I will be streaming Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl from this channel at 3 a.m. tonight when Tommy's gone to sleep and he can't stop me.
No, I have to change all the passwords.
Tommy's not fucking asleep at 3 a.m.
Tommy's never asleep.
Dan brings up a very good point.
And now I'll throw the attention over to Addie, I believe.
Me? Okay, that's
Why
exciting. Yeah, hi everybody. We have a Patreon that we launched a couple of months ago. Some of you are already subscribers and have been subscribing for a long time because it used to be our podcast Essential NPCs Patreon, but we have rebranded, we have revamped, and we are so excited to have it. You can head over to patreon.com / Waypoint Game Designs and support us. It's a monthly donation, and you get some cool stuff like a monthly adventure and early access to videos and podcasts and other cool stuff. Like, did I say the blog post? No, I didn't. And blog posts. And then, and you heard it right. I did say podcasts. That's because we have started putting on up on everywhere podcasts are available, episodes of our actual play season. We've started with the season 1, the Kinsey Pax and Roland season. Yeah, I said it like that. Yeah, I meant it.
That's the thing I miss the most about season 1 is that I could start every episode being Kinsey Paxton Roland.
And so if you missed that adventure and you want to listen to it on an audio only format, you can do so. You can follow it on SoundCloud, or you can download it to your digital device that hangs out in your pocket and tracks your every move. So that is the major update. Also, our patrons, everyone who signed up last month has been reached out to, so we can send you the cool art that we're giving away. You can expect that very soon in your mailboxes. So if you're interested in getting cool stuff too, you should go over to our Patreon because we love everybody, but we show more love to the people who are our patrons. Anyway, that is pretty much it, except for in the throes of COVID last week, I said that we were doing an extra cool special thing this week, and that was a complete and utter lie. It is coming next week. So next week when you tune in, I'll have a cool announcement for you then. But instead, I just want to thank everybody for keeping us alive last week, and hopefully we live this week too. Over to whoever goes next.
Is it me? I think it's me.
It's Thomas.
Is it you? Jesus.
Yeah, Tommy.
Now it's time to listen to Economy Tommy. Tommy, over to you.
Economy Tommy here to talk to you about the grid economy. Now grid is up 2 points, but GM grid is up 5 points, and there's no reason why.
Get into crypto, Tommy.
Burn the whole system down.
So as you can see, we all have these little numbers in the top of our little windows. It says how much grit we each have. Grit is an expendable resource in Manifest that allows you to manipulate the roles that are important to you so that you can succeed better or fail less terribly. Or
not fail.
But that would be succeeding better. You have grit as well as viewers. We call it viewer grit. It's at the bottom of your chat. It's where the channel points live. You can use that to gift grit to the players or the GM to allow them the ability to have more agency on their roles. Now you'll notice my grit, I haven't done this in a minute, but I do want to point out the grit you can give me is cheaper than the grit you can give them. So, and when you give me grit and I use it against them, they do get grit. So in a way, you can funnel your grit through me to them at a lower cost.
Don't buy that knockoff GM grit. It's a scam, I tell you.
What can you give him he hasn't already taken from us?
Arms. They could give me arms.
No, it's cheaper because you're giving them to a middleman who will buy your data and sell it to Google.
You don't become a GM by earning arms. You become a GM by taking arms of others.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, we have some grit rolling in already. Laura the Bard gives +1 grit to Eloise. Fiddler Undone gives +1 grit to Porter. And Ryak gives +1 grit to Dex. So by my count, that puts Dex at 4, Eloise at 3, and Porter at 4.
I think it puts Porter at 2, unless I'm massively wrong, but I only have 1 grit marked down. Did you give me grit at the end of last session?
You sound very wrong. I bet you have 4.
There was grit at the end of last session.
Okay, then I just didn't mark that.
You guys survived a dangerous situation, roleplay, all that good stuff.
Yeah, at the very least.
No, well, cool.
Okay, so
like I said, I have 4. I have 4 the whole time.
Yeah. Squeaky. Okay, so we are going to move into the actual play. I will give you a recap on the devastating outcome of last week's episode, and then we will move forward and see what happens next. But before we jump into any of that, we're going to transport our minds to the world of Manifest by looking at cool art of these 4 characters while they're still alive for us to admire them.
Don't say it like that. What the hell?
All right. So, previously on Manifest Actual Play, our 4 drifters fought Blackstone, I think for the duration of 4 episodes, in the mountains of the Punched Peaks, and through various hit and run tactics and baiting them into traps, they slowly managed to whittle them down, and eventually almost succeed in completely defeating them. However, in the final moments, Porter was left near death, bleeding out. Eloise stayed back to assist him, while Leo Riggs covered them. And then Dex and Gus went out to draw the last of Henry Fawcett's forces, away from, their friends. And Henry Fawcett used the laser rifle that he had at his disposal, to put down an already extremely weathered and beaten Dex and Gus. And then he landed the helicopter, stabilized both drifters, and used Dex as a bargaining chip to get Eloise to surrender. And Henry Fawcett and his couple remaining soldiers loaded Eloise and Gus up into a helicopter and flew away, while an unconscious Dex was awakened by Porter as a strange and sudden storm rolled in. The storm itself became extremely harrowing and extremely rough quickly, and emerging seemingly out of nowhere in the storm, a jackalope appeared and basically stared down Porter and Dex, and then basically led them through the storm into somewhere that is not where they were. As far as they know, Leo Riggs is still in a cave on the Punched Peaks, but they are not in the Punched Peaks anymore. As the storm cleared up, they entered a vibrant grove, almost like an oasis in the Badlands, that had a glowing warm stone in the center of it that, at the behest of the jackalope, they touched, and it cured them of all of their injuries, healed all their hit points. And then a strange man in a basically patchwork worn coat, with a hooded cloak, revealed his face and introduced himself as Kinsey McCharlotte, from Campaign 1. Campaign 1 having taken place only a handful of years ago, Kinsey McCharlotte is in his 60s, it would seem. And he was confused as to why Dex and Porter were in his grove, and then seemed to have a conversation with his jackalope Umbra, that Dex and Porter could not hear, which revealed to him that perhaps they were brought here by the jackalope because they're traveling with Leo Riggs. And upon coming to that revelation, Kinsey asked them to sit down and said, "Let's share our stories." Meanwhile, Eloise and Gus are restrained, mind-cuffed, and unconscious in the helicopter that is heading eastward. Though Kinsey did strangely say to Dex and Porter that once they were done talking with him, they would lose no time. So, yeah, we'll jump right into it. Y'all have sat down. Dex and Porter, you have sat down. Pit Stop is just kind of standing there, like about 12 paces behind Porter.
I forgot Pit Stop followed us here.
and like Umbra is like kind of sniffing at him, like, and like poking him with his nose, and the two of you have sat down on kind of like some tree stumps that have like are comfortable enough to sit on, and with like a naturally formed like stones and tree stumps in front of you that have just a really nice like sampling of food, like very freshly, it seems like freshly picked fruit, vegetables, some really like nicely seasoned meat, and Sitting across from you is this man who has introduced himself as Kinsey. He sits down, pulls out a big cigar and lights it. Takes a big like puff of it and blows out some smoke and like leans back comfortably as he like grabs like, you know, a bone in like poultry leg and just and those. So tell me how it is you came to become acquainted with Leo Riggs.
Just kind of. Well, I mean, with Leo Riggs, I mean that's goes back quite a ways. You see, and I think Porter just kind of launches and he tells a good amount of the story that I can, kind of explaining. You know, we came together on this small job, coming out of Waypoint.
You're telling him the story of the entire campaign.
I'm starting from the beginning. Yeah, that's right. Learned about the existence of Brimstone and were attacked by Blackstar, and told him about Jack Taylor and how he was a part of the Free People's Coalition, and then eventually getting up to meeting the Raven, and he does it very dramatically. You know, he does the big like dramatic reveal, and the whole time the Raven was Leo Riggs. I know.
Maybe to your disappointment, Kinsey is not surprised.
He takes it in stride, probably. like he's a good enough storyteller.
He's listening. He's enjoying the story. He's enjoying the performance. But like that reveal is like he's like, yeah, continue. Like,
but and then kind of just explaining what happened in the cave, the original plan, where it went wrong, and I think he kind of gets choked up when he starts talking about Gus and Elle, and saying, you know, I know that they can take care of themselves, and I know that this plan is going to work, but I just don't see it yet, and I'm worried. I'm just worried about them.
It's understandable. I don't know how you could possibly not be concerned. You obviously have feelings for the girl.
Is it obvious to everyone?
Yes.
I wouldn't consider myself the best at reading people, but even that's clear as day.
Everyone you meet within 5 minutes of seeing the two of you interact, it's extremely clear.
I don't know. All right. Well, and I worry because I want to go get them, but I don't know if Leo Riggs is a person that we can trust. He says that, you know, he'll do anything in his power, but
well, I suppose I should tell you a bit about what I know of the man. The best way to put it is, my friends and I ended up in Tobias Station. What year is it?
I say the number of the year that it is.
492 or something.
It's 420. It's 427.
427. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, just a few years ago then. We came into Tobias Station, and well, it was not how it is today. It was run by just a devil of a woman. Captain Morales was her name, and her right-hand man was Leo Riggs. And they were cruel to the people there, and that didn't sit well with my friends. And so, after some time, we managed to end that situation and eventually get. I've forgotten Roland's last name.
Hollis.
Eventually ended up getting Harry Hollis into the position she now holds. So part of the way we were able to succeed in that was we were able to strike a relative truce with Leo Riggs. He would have been a formidable foe had he stayed loyal to Morales, but my friends can be convincing in lots of ways, and, well, they managed to convince Mr. Riggs that he was better off letting Morales' time come to an end. Now, this was built on the promise that we never delivered on, which was acquiring an item that Leo Riggs seemed incredibly interested in getting his hands on. Do you know have you ever heard the story of Quentin Lemaire?
I'm a city boy, so I don't imagine that I've heard many Badlands. Although, maybe in my travels. Well, can I roll lower for it?
Yeah, you can roll lore. I'll put it at a -6 for you.
That right?
I don't think it doesn't feel like a story that the Peak would know. Like I don't think I'm not gonna roll for Dex to have heard this in
I thought
passing.
for sure you were gonna say it's not a story the wardens would tell you.
No, I'm playing a character who has 4 personalities, so I have to limit myself in how good of a joke I do. Yeah, honestly, it's up to you, Tommy. Like, if you think it's a story the wardens know / tell, otherwise, I don't think
No.
Dex heard this in passing.
No. It would you would have a much bigger negative than Porter.
Yeah.
Because Porter's like a sailor, so like legends and like tall tales and stuff are like oftentimes like told to like pass the time. Whereas your conversations were full of, okay, so now if you shoot a man here, you have this much time before he bleeds out.
Oh god. I got 1 hit of that, so I think Porter would respond something like, Quentin Lemaire, that sounds familiar. I know I heard something about his guns are special, right?
Yes, quite. The tale revolves around Quentin Lemaire and his apprentice Cordelia Gray. I don't know the full ins and outs of it myself, but what it comes down to is he was hidden away after his death, and hidden with something or some things of great importance to many people. And people are always after the location of his final resting place, location that was hidden by his apprentice and mapped onto his pistols, which were then scurried away and hidden on different parts of Manifest. Now, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, there is truth to this legend. I've seen one of the pistols myself. Yes, I've only seen the one. I didn't see both. But I was very close to finding the second one. But from what I can tell in all my time, anyone who is searching for Quentin Lemaire's final resting place seems to be not the best of people. Anyone who's seriously searching, at least who I've crossed paths with, there are some truly evil and powerful individuals looking for this, and Leo Riggs ranks among them. Though evil and powerful might be a little too much to prescribe to Leo Riggs, though he is getting there, surprisingly. But I don't know what lies in Lemaire's reliquary, and I know Leo was desperately trying to find the pistols, and that's the promise we made him. And then, of course, we didn't. Well, we had one of the pistols. It wasn't the pistol that he wanted. It was a different pistol. It was the other pistol. We told him we had the one he was looking for. Either way, he ended up without pistols.
Right.
Frankly, he should have been dead. But from what I understand, he managed to somehow survive in the Punch Peaks for some time before crawling out under the moniker of the Raven, where he slowly began assembling his coalition of free thinkers and freedom fighters. Now, you mentioned that you don't know if you can trust Leo Riggs. Now, you weren't overt in your story, but I've come to understand it. I mean, your friends Eloise and Gus, they are illuminated and you two are not, correct?
That's right.
Right. Well, then I would caution against working alongside Leo Riggs now that your friends are out of the picture for the time being. I don't know the man a great deal, but From my understandings with my interactions with him, with my friends' interactions with him, and the things he's done in the years since he disappeared, he is what I would call a bit of a supremacist. His goal has always been, and from what I can understand, will always be, to flip the existing power dynamic in the world so that the illuminated individuals are in charge and the unilluminated people are second-class citizens. He has a vengeful heart.
Do his followers think the same way, or is he using them as well?
Imagine some of them probably do, to some degree.
Sorry, real quick, I'm blanking on the dude's name who was the head of the FPC cell in Las Brazos.
Truman, I forget his last name.
Right. Yeah, I think as like Kinsey responds, Dax speaks up. Truman didn't know what the fuck Leo was gonna do. He explicitly didn't think about it.
Sometimes that's all it takes for someone like Leo to continue to gain power. Now, you might still be of use to him in the days coming, but his interest, and surely, from what I understand, his like at this point you've told him like the whole story and everything. His like cigar is like done, and he puts it out, and like unfolds it and like sprinkles like the like little like dregs of it into the grass. And he goes, from what I understand, while you are useful, he might still be loyal to you, but his interest, no doubt, has always lied with your friends. And given the opportunity, I imagine he would attempt to radicalize them to his cause, especially if they are as powerful as you and Brimstone seem to claim them be.
So he'll be on our side as long as we're useful, but the instant that we become a hindrance to him, we're goners, basically.
Well, the way I've seen him operate, or heard tales of the Raven operating from time to time in my travels, he may have learned a thing or two from his time in Tobias Station, and with your friends gone and you here, he has the opportunity for you to be useful in ways that you don't want.
I see.
Nothing radicalizes someone than a loss of a friend.
I appreciate your knowledge. I do think I remember him mentioning something about a pack of drifters and them being an annoyance to him. I could see how effective you were against them.
Well, we didn't quite finish the job. But, honestly, whether Leo Riggs is irredeemably evil, and he certainly isn't the worst person who's looking for Lemaire's treasure, but there's an argument to be made that change must happen in the world, and the status quo will always resist against measured and appropriate attempts to enact progress. As such, anarchy, while an inherently imperfect concept, is sometimes necessary to destabilize the otherwise impervious systems of oppression that exist. One could say that Leo Riggs, while vile in many ways, still could have a larger role to play in the overall long-term betterment of Manifest. But such thoughts are hardly a comfort to the people whose lives will be ruined and tortured and destroyed by the acts of Leo and his followers. So, innocence will suffer long before the Raven's vision yields any fringe silver linings or benefits to the world.
From what we've seen, too many innocent people have already suffered under his thumb. And I can only imagine how much more powerful he will gain when he gets more followers and gets rid of Brimstone.
Right now, my understanding is the only thing that's truly slowing him down is a limit of resources. Drifters on his side are a valuable resource as long as he thinks he can control you or your friends.
Do you think he's still looking for Lamar's guns?
Absolutely.
Huh.
I don't know if he has a lead or not, but I have to imagine that at the forefront of everything he does, he is continuing to gather whatever information he can on Lamar's guns so he can finally track them down. He'll have a great deal of difficulty tracking down one of them, as they are in the hands of two of the most capable fighters I've ever had the fortune to meet. The other one, though, is at large.
Well, is that the one that you said that you got close to obtaining?
Yes. A fella by the name of, it's a long story, but, I'll call him Rufus. A fella by the name of Rufus, is also looking for these weapons, and also hell-bent on finding them. And, well, he has one of them, and I'm sure he's looking for the other one as well. Again, he'll have a hell of a time getting it.
Well, I kind of turned to Dax at this. If he's still looking for Lamar's guns, maybe at that moment where we stop being useful and he, tries to martyr us, as it sounds like he's more than willing to do, maybe we can lead him on, make him think that we know where the guns are.
Well, he's fallen for that trick once. I would be surprised if he fell for it a second time. From what I can tell, the way he comports himself and the way he has turned to manipulation and deceit to gain what he wants, I have to imagine he learned a trick or two from my friend Roland.
Sounds like my kind of fellow.
You might get along, the two of you, or you'd hate each other incessantly. Hard to say.
Thin line between the two. But, so are you illuminated then? Is that why we're here, or how we're here?
To explain how you're here and where here is more than you need burden yourself with. As for your actual question, no, I am not illuminated. Though luminescence is a extremely powerful element that courses through every living aspect of the planet of Manifest. So luminescence is to thank for what you are experiencing, but I would not even dare to consider myself illuminated. I'm just given what the elements provide.
That's fairly impressive. I mean, especially if, this conversation we're having, what did you say? We're not going to lose any time. We'll just pop back when we left.
Yeah, should you like to return to exactly where you were, that's easy enough to achieve.
Could we pop back to another point?
Yes, the storm would need some time to move, so you might lose a little bit of time, but yes.
Interesting.
You wouldn't perceive the passage of time, it would just be, depending on where would you like to go? I could give you an estimate.
Would we return back in the same place, or would we just follow the storm?
I thought I already made that clear. Sorry. It's hard to know what you experienced and how long you said you've been traveling?
I've never experienced anything even remotely close to this, so any explanation you can give to me, I mean, that'd be helpful.
Right now, if you return on the path that you came, you will return to exactly where you were, and the storm will move on its way. You will be outside where you said you were in the Punch Peaks, outside the cave in the Punch Peaks. Leo Riggs, not more than 50 paces from you or whatever. Should you want to leave at a different time, we could arrange that as well. I just need to know when and where.
Interesting. All right. Huh. Interesting. I guess as a player,
Umbra, leave him alone. Umbra's like kicking and like dancing around Pit Stop, who's like just like moving its ears slightly. And then Umbra stops and looks at Kinsey and like thumps his foot down and then goes bounding into the trees. Just like poof, poof. Like you hear, he actually lands on some tree branches and starts jumping from tree branch to tree branch. Well, you can sit here and talk more if you like. I don't have much more to share when it comes to Leo Riggs. He's a powerful, illuminated character, very, very cold and cruel, but it sounds like you've seen some of that already.
yeah, quite a bit of it.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being of use.
What?
I don't want to work with a guy whose plan is illuminated supremacy, who we have to watch our backs for the second we're not useful, who will, honestly, Porter, probably sacrifice Eloise and Gus if it means Brimstone goes down, based on what we know about him.
But what else do we have? I mean, he's got resources. We can't take down Brimstone with just the two of us, can we?
I forget. Addie, do you remember if you left Eloise's Omni tool when like Brimstone took you? Because I know you left like a lot of your stuff.
I think I left everything. I took off my armor in the cave and then left the shield and the
I know
detonator.
you had your Omni tool
with-
during the conversation.
Right. I think my Omni tool's like a glove, so I might have put it. I think I put it on Dex.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Chat, if I'm wrong and you remember, let us know. But
in the
I'm pretty
comments,
sure.
go to the
That was
VOD.
in the comments. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I
Where's
mean,
our
what I think
manifest
it is.
wiki? All right, somebody needs to start.
Yeah, who's in charge of the wiki?
that would be incredibly useful to me. So often I have to go and be like, all right, episode 27 of campaign 1.
Yeah, I think Dex has been fiddling with Eloise's Omni tool the whole time that this conversation has been going on. And you tell me if this train of logic follows, Tommy. The speech to text, like, has to at the very least record audio, if not video, to like do its thing, right?
Mhm.
In this speech to text, Henry Fawcett answers to Henry Fawcett and explicitly says that he has been hired by Brimstone to bring Eloise and Gus in.
I'm trying to remember if he.
I mean, he 100% says they're taking them
I mean,
to Brimstone.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Then yeah. If I couldn't remember 100% if he said Brimstone or not. Obviously he is who he is and says I'm Henry Fawcett. Yeah. It exists only basically as here. Let me roll. Yeah, it exists as an actual audio file at the moment until the Omni tool is reconfigured.
Great. Yeah, Dex, I think, has been fiddling with it and like stumbles upon this as he is getting more and more frustrated with this prospect of like, okay, so now we have to just watch our back against Leo Riggs the whole time if we want to get them back. And Dex like sees this and it like starts to play. This is proof that an illegal mercenary company is delivering prisoners to a Fort Dearborn militia base.
So, who could we take that to?
This goes to Waypoint.
we could talk to the mayor.
Listen, I don't know Alex Graves extremely well, but she had our back when she didn't have to. And I've talked to the sheriff a few times, and I trust him to be on the right side of this. We need resources. I don't want Leo's resources.
Is Alejandra?
Sorry, what?
Mayor Graves. It's been some time since her and I last spent time together. She doing well?
She's still mayor, I guess.
Just tough as nails. I mean, I've never had an interaction with her that I wasn't at least a little bit scared.
After Tobias Station, sometime after Tobias Station. You said it's 427? I suppose
right.
it'd probably just be a year or so after I passed through Waypoint and truly remarkable woman. The town itself, it was amazing. My friends and I, we were trying to go there for so long. We got tied up in Tobias Station. I just had to see it for myself once we were all done. Holy fuck. You know, now that I think about it, I never did go to Las Brasas. Have you ever been to Las Brasas? What's it like?
It's a rebound court. It's a great rebound court.
Oh, that's quaint.
They're crazy about it there. Yeah, it's
It's a big deal there.
a big deal.
As you might imagine, I don't have much well, I guess you wouldn't know. I don't have much time for frivolous activity or visiting towns. I spend most of my time... He just, like, waves his hand around.
What is it that you do here?
It's not important.
Fair enough. So do you think you could take us to Waypoint then?
Yes. You'll lose a few days. Probably 3 or 4.
That's way. This is Dan asking you, Tommy. That's way less than it takes us to get to Waypoint.
I mean,
without this, right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Listen, at the very least, it's a lot closer to Brimstone, and send a LRC to Truman. If Leo Riggs and his FPC want to knock over Brimstone, great. We can coordinate. But I'm done pretending his bullshit is right just because he's been kicked in the teeth.
I agree. And I don't want to work with anybody who puts any of us in danger. And I think that anybody, an ally, an enemy, anybody in his presence, they're as good as cannon fodder to him. As good as cannon fodder.
Our objective right now is Gus and Eloise safe.
Yeah.
And that's number 1. And that ain't his number 1, I don't think.
No.
We just
You're
like
right.
look over and Kinsey has like a mound full of dirt in his hand and like a worm is like wriggling around in it and he's just looking at it.
So
To come to a consensus.
Yeah, I think so. I guess we ride the storm to Waypoint.
Like gently sets the worm back down, cleans off his hand, stands up and goes, right, well, whenever you're ready, simply walk down that path. And he points and there's like a path in the trees, it doesn't look like a path that was cut. It looks like a naturally formed break in the trees that kind of winds out of sight. And you weren't like, you didn't soak in the scene perfectly, like with extreme recollection, but that path seems like something you might have noticed and is not there.
Right.
Or was not there and is now.
Yeah, I think Dex, as soon as Kinsey is like, when you're ready to go, walk down that path, like Dex gets up and starts like packing up and is ready to move.
I kind of pack up pit stop as well. It's like, excuse me, he says to Umbra, can I just get into here? It's fine, you can have one. And I give him one of our rations.
Oh, you've made a mistake there.
Look, is he gonna eat all of them? Get away. Nope.
Umbra just like nuzzles into the bag and is like trying to grab it. Umbra, they have to go. And he like says that, and like Umbra's mood changes a little bit, and Umbra like sets back and like sits down, and then just like looks at you with like dark brown eyes.
It's a hell of a rabbit you got there.
You don't know the half of it.
But before we go, and I guess is Dex just walking down the path?
No, Dex has like moved towards the path, but isn't gonna just leave Porter behind.
No, sure. Do you think we'll see you again? I mean, this has been a very strange experience. But...
Probably the strangest you'll have in your life. Hopefully, the strangest you have in your life. God, I'd hate to imagine others.
Well, if we meet again, I hope it's on the other side of all this. You know, you've got a nice place here.
Suppose I do. But the world outside the grove is worth it.
I'll take that to heart.
If we're lucky, we'll never cross paths again. But I'll remember you.
And I'll remember you, Mr. McCharlotte, and I'll hold out my hand for a shake.
Grabs it and shakes it. You realize he's also missing a finger.
Oh, so he is. Oh, you know, that's normal in the Badlands, though. Hey, you know, can't react to that. That'd be weird.
I don't really know or understand who, what, or where you are. But thank you.
Of course. Honestly, for your sake, it's better that you don't. Good luck with
I'll
Leo
take your
Riggs and
word for it.
Brimstone and whatever else paths you have to trod. I wish you well. Umbra's an excellent judge of character, far better than me.
Well, cheers to you, Umbra, and I'll toss him one last piece of ration. And I guess we go down.
Yeah. You walk for a little bit, and as you start moving your way down the path, the rain starts up again. You can hear it hitting the trees. The trees become a little thinner, and then eventually they like part, and you see like the storm is really heavy around you, and you step out from like the trees and onto like just like open land. And when you look back behind you, it's just more rain and open badlands. And then you look like to your right, and you see kind of through the like the rain, you see the lights of Waypoint, like a quarter mile away from you, as the storm just kind of rolls quickly eastward.
As the storm kind of passes overhead, Porter just kind of makes a little sign of the fish. Fish God bless us, and hopefully we aren't cursed and, you know, destined to hell.
Either way, we got to work here first.
Fair enough.
We start walking to Waypoint.
Cool. Eloise and Gus. You wouldn't know it because you've been unconscious the whole time, but it's been about 3 days.
Been unconscious for 3 days? Oh my god.
Did we get a
bad
long
for you.
rest?
Yeah, you guys benefit from a rest. They're basically just keeping you fully sedated. Occasionally you wake up, but it's very like blurry and everything. You see you're hooked up to like IVs in the helicopter, and basically it just takes them about 3 days to make it to Brimstone, where you're finally woken up. So yeah, you both kind of come to you know, the couple of times where you kind of came to and could hear the whirring of the helicopter, could see each other nearby each other, see the IV in your arm, like, you know, that has been really hazy, but this time you're waking up with just a little bit more clarity, and you realize like you're in a different spot. You're not in the helicopter. The IV is not in your arm, but you are still in containment manacles, floating a few feet off the ground, like horizontally. And you still have those modified mind cuffs around your neck that like put an uncomfortable amount of pressure on the back of your spine. And you hear familiar voices. You hear the voice of Henry Fawcett, and you hear the voice of Captain Desmond Schaefer. As you start to come to, and like the lights of this, like it's almost looks like a garage, but there's like no vehicles in it. But it's very like industrial and like warehouse looking, though it's basically empty and like not very large, but still kind of big. And there's like big double doors on either side of it, basically like a big airlock. You like, as their voices kind of come into clarity, you both kind of like are able to like open your eyes and look and see each other. And then like you can turn your head and kind of see like Schaefer and Fawcett standing off to the side talking. You also notice on not containment manacles, but also like a floating, almost like gurney, there is a body underneath a cloth. It is an extremely like, by the size you can see, it's a very tall, thin body that is draped under a cloth, just kind of floating nearby you two. And Schaefer actually gestures towards this body as he says, "Pruitt will be displeased that you lost Subject 52. And Fawcett goes, "Well, you told me the man was looking for real power, and that's why you needed Reynolds. But I don't think you're as observant as you think you are, Captain. Because this here ape damn near broke the sound barrier airdropping himself on one of my patrols." "Is that so?" he says, like looking over towards you, Gus, seeing you kind of stirring. And Fawcett goes, "Way you tell it. Y'all been on the hunt for a new donor since Subject 0. And through the blood, sweat, and tears of my crew, you got 2 for the price of 1. Schaefer sits there for a second, and then kind of as if to stop acknowledging what Fawcett wants to talk about and move the subject forward, goes, "How many are still under your command?" "Around 24. Well, see to it that they relocate this garrison with subtlety. Now, I understand Dexter Bailey is one who will not give up on a fight until a bullet lays him low. And if anyone can rally the Ravens people in his stead to a suicide run to save these 2, it's a goddamn gunslinger. So until he's taken care of, you're still useful. But in light of the ludicrous amount of collateral damage and liability you've managed to achieve on this simple operation, it'll be hard to see a reason to continue to utilize your services, Fawcett." And Fawcett chuckles, puts a hand on Schaefer's shoulder, and goes, "You're feeling tense there, kid. Let's not waste time pretending y'all will find someone else willing to do what Black Star do. Kindly remove your hand from my person and your person from my bunker." Fawcett pulls back, puts his hands up, and goes, "Sir, yes, sir." And walks over to like large double doors that and big like clouds of smoke spray down on him as he walks through them, and then the closes behind him. And Schaefer turns back and sees the 2 of you kind of stirring and awake and goes, "Well, could have walked in here on 2 feet had you taken my offer."
I think the end is the same regardless.
Might be. But comfort is a blessing, ain't it? Go ahead and move them to their cells. And a couple soldiers come to start like moving you towards the other double doors.
Wait.
They like stop for a second. Schaefer like rolls his head back, turns and goes, "What is it, Miss Reynolds?"
What kind of What kind of comfort could you provide for Gus if I'm helpful?
Raises an
You've
eye.
seen what I can do.
That I have. He looks at Gus, looks at you, and goes,
Your equipment is terrible. I could fix that, even with the budget you got.
"You ain't here to work with your hands, Ms. Reynolds.
It's a waste. You're wasting me on half an effort.
Hell, don't do this. All right, he don't deserve your help.
Look, I get what you're trying to pull off here, and I understand. But honestly, the time you ain't spending in the lab, you'll want to rest. Experiments take a lot out of the subjects. Go on, then," he says to the soldiers, and they keep moving you down. And they get to the giant double doors with open up, and like you basically walk through a hallway as like this like cloud, these like jets of smoke spray down on you, and like kind of like burn your eyes, and like smell really like acrid. You move through it, and doors open on the other end. You guys start getting wheeled down some serious like industrial like military looking hallways. Thick, like sturdy walls, like a conal shape at the top to make them resistant to like bombardments, everything. You are in Brimstone Garrison. You're certain of it. Actually, you've seen these hallways before through Scruff's visions. And you go through a little bit. It takes.
Are we being rolled next to each other?
Yeah, you guys are being rolled next to each other, and it takes about maybe a minute, 2 minutes before you're split.
El, you all right?
I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah, we're both gonna be fine.
If you have the chance to get out, you get out.
Same to you.
Don't come for me.
All right.
Okay. It's gonna be okay, guys.
Yeah, El, it's gonna be okay.
Okay. Then you guys basically get to a fork in the hall. Eloise, you are wheeled down to the right. Gus, you are wheeled down to the left. You guys each pass a couple doors before you are led to the door that opens. And you are put into, you saw Scruff's like place where he was held. This is not that nice. You are not in a nice apartment that has locked you in. You are in a cell. It's square shaped, no windows, extremely thin like vents along the top. There is basically like a stool in the corner for you to relieve yourself. No sink, no mirror, nothing like that. And then like a very like solid, like no springs, metal, like bed, no cushions, no anything there for you to sleep on. And as you get there, the soldiers undo the containment manacles on you, Eloise. They leave the mine cuff on you, and then they shut the door.
Okay.
And Gus, they put multiple handcuffs on you before they remove the containment manacles. You have handcuffs that attach to your elbows, keeping them close as it wraps around your torso. You have similar ones on your legs that give you just enough room to like kind of shuffle. Those are attached by a central chain, which also attaches to the handcuffs that are around your wrists. All of which seem to be made of like a very sturdy metal, but not as sophisticated as the containment manacles. As they remove the containment manacles, set you down, and they like get the like handcuffs on you, and like then they have like basically what looks like cattle prods ready as they unhinge the containment manacles. You're set down, and they wheel it out and shut the door quickly.
Cool. Nah, Gus. I know what The Rock would do in this situation, but I don't think it's what Gus would do.
Daddy's gotta go to work.
Yeah, exactly. Just see how many I can break in their presence. But that's not a Gus move. Gus is not raising a fuss and trying to figure what little he can out in his head. I think one of the first things he does after he sits down for a moment and they leave and he's convinced he's alone is he remembers all the stuff that Scruff said about weaknesses in his admittedly very different room, but he just starts looking around at every corner of this place looking for anything to give himself any hope of pulling any sort of fast one. Even if it's not a means of escape, if it's something he thinks that they haven't thought of that he could use. And he knows he's not smart, but he knows he's got time.
It does feel like a machinery test. And I'll put it at a -8.
Okay, well, you could have just told me not to roll.
I wasn't sure. I honestly didn't know what your machinery, because I knew you worked on a farm. I know you weren't smart, but I thought maybe you had like 10 machinery or something.
I got 8. I got 8 for state.
Oh, man. You exactly can't do it.
Yeah, cool.
All right. You can roll it a 1.
That's true. You can always roll it a 1.
All right. Well, Tommy, then fuck you. I'm rolling out a 1.
Okay.
It's a 17. If I go it strong and was a different character.
Yeah. No, you look around, you assess like there's like very, very like small amounts of air moving through those vents at the top of the room just to make it so that the air in here is actually circulating. The like water level in the toilet is incredibly low, basically non-existent. The like bed is like part of the wall's actual structure, like it was formed like with the wall.
Cool. Literally, basically, like all the time he can manage it in his cell in order to like keep his mind active, and because he knows he's not smart, this is how he occupies himself. Is thinking in his mind that he has missed whatever. There's something here, and he has missed it. And if he looks long enough and hard enough, he will find the thing that will get him out of here.
An amount of hours passes. Eloise, are you actively trying to do anything, or are you letting time pass?
So so it is an actual toilet.
Yes.
Okay. And then there's structure under the bed?
Mm-mm.
No.
The bed is part of the wall.
Okay. And it's just a ledge. There's nothing on it?
Correct.
Okay. Can I see if there's anything I can shave off? Like a loose, like an extra piece of metal, or like the chain for like a flapper, or like an extra, like anything like that.
I guess my question would be, what would you use to shave it off? Like first.
Well, I'm not sure.
Because, like,
actually,
potentially, maybe if you had something that could damage the wall in some way, or like the toilet is made out of metal as well, and there's like spots of it that like maybe if you had something that could literally like just break the toilet in a way that didn't make it so it was obvious, like didn't stop the toilet from functioning, like maybe you could get like a piece of something. The toilet itself is like a completely contained unit. There's no like lid to lift up or anything like that.
Right.
Um
Okay. Yeah. No, if
So,
there's
like-
like I imagine that they like took my jewelry and
Yeah.
stuff. Like I don't
you've been fully
imagine-
processed. You are.
Yeah. Cool. Then I don't think that I have necessarily anything other than like fingernails.
Yeah, you're both also in like plain gray like jumpsuits.
God, based on what Elle just did, I Roman have an idea for how to get Gus out of here that I don't know if he would ever think of, and I love that. I love that for myself.
After some amount of hours pass, it's hard to like mark the passage of time because there's literal no exterior lights or anything like that. There's a boom boom on the door, and they say, "Back against the wall opposite the door. Food and drink."
Yeah. Yes.
Both of you follow those instructions, and the door opens up, and this happens to you both around the same time, though you don't know it. People walk in, a guard walks in while one guard stands outside. You can see there's two guards stationed outside, and one guard is walking in with a tray. The door shuts behind the guard. They set down the tray. It's got basically like a paper cup with some water in it, and then some, like, probably at this point, honestly, you guys are very hungry. So like the food, I mean, it doesn't look good, but it is food and it smells warm. And so like it's there. The guard has no, like, it's not like they're not like holding a rifle or anything, but they do have like a gun on their belt. They're wearing armor. And both of you, I mean, Gus, you definitely recognize your guard. I don't know if Eloise recognizes. You probably recognize the face, and you have a pretty good memory, and Dex did give you guys like a profile on everyone who is in the mountains there. But my notes should have made their names bold so it was easier to find.
This is fucking Alf.
So Eloise, specialist Catherine Barton is standing in front of you. She sets down the food, steps back, puts her back against the door, and then says, "You can eat." And then she like rests her hand on her gun. And Gus, you recognize, judging by the like his uniform, it looks like he's been slightly promoted. I don't think you know military stuff enough to know like what degree of private he is, but he's a higher class of private now. Alf Ralston.
Is that the one that yeah, the one that Dex put the fear of God into?
Yes.
Which Gus does know.
Yeah. He sets it down, and he steps back and he goes, "That ain't much, but it'll get you through the night. Just don't try anything crazy." He doesn't place his hand on his gun. He steps back and puts his like hands in front of him, like kind of crossing and holding onto his wrist.
Quick question: what's the tray made out of?
The tray seems to be made out of like a very flimsy, like kind of paper, cardboardy type thing.
Paper, cardboard. Ugh, damn. Yeah. I think Gus grabs it and he sits down and he starts eating. And as he's eating, he says, "I didn't expect to see you again. Was Alf?"
He like straightens up and looks a little concerned. He goes, "You remember me? Yeah. Ralston. Private first class."
Cool. I mean, is Alf all right. Stuff we went through in the mountains. It feels like we're on a first name basis.
I don't know if that's necessarily appropriate, sir.
All right. Private. Is it the whole thing? Private first class Ralston? Can I just say private Ralston?
Ralston works. Just go with that.
Ralston? Cool. Ralston. Him. You know, Dex he's come back around here.
Like audible gulp. He's they didn't I mean, they said he was captured. I just kind of figured folks he was with might not you should eat, sir.
No, I'm eating. I just you want Dex to see you like this?
We shouldn't really be talking.
I shouldn't really be here.
Yeah, well. World's complicated, I suppose.
Hey, that's the sort of wisdom out of a private first class. I guess goes back to eating his meal.
Eloise, Specialist Barton doesn't talk to you at all. Unless you engage in conversation, she sits there and watches, and if you eat slowly, she tells you only have like a couple minutes left.
I don't eat. But I do look up at her and say, I'm a witch, you know.
Ma'am, you need to eat. Now, if you don't eat of your own volition, we will force it. But it's not a pleasant experience for anyone, so might as well just eat.
I'll get sick. I can't eat that.
Ma'am, you do not need to make this difficult.
I don't know what you want, really.
I want you to eat your food. You only got 3 minutes left.
I can't eat that.
All right. She steps forward, takes the tray. Like before she steps away from the door, she knocks on it like 3 times. They open it up. She takes the tray, steps back, door shuts, and then roughly 5 minutes later, Eloise, about 3 or 4 guards enter your room to force feed you the food.
I have no access to my insight powers.
Well, you don't know what happens when you try to use them, but you can feel they are greatly inhibited.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how mind cuffs work, and you know that this one has been modified differently.
Right.
You do have shine, you do have the powers, you don't know what happens when you use them.
Okay. I would like to, while they're doing that, take somebody's bars or something, a pen out of their pocket.
You want to try to sleight of hand?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So go ahead and roll skullduggery. Yeah, they'll be at slight negatives because they are like basically like you're wrestling against them, and as they put a feeding tube in your mouth and force you to eat.
God damn, I have 4 skullduggery. I'm so bad at being in jail.
But you see, the thing is that I read about picking people's pockets.
Ooh.
Do you have theoretically skilled?
Yeah.
Oh snap! Oh snap, y'all!
Amazing.
We're gonna be here for days. I can get a lot done. Sorry, I forgot to grab my dice.
Yeah, I'm like sitting there being like, my dice are scattered around. I'm like, wait, +1 grit to Eloise from Argitlam. A bit of assistance, he says.
Thank you. So I roll this as a lore test, right?
This is the problem, guys. Addie does nothing but watch like cop procedurals and like get out of jail movies and stuff like that. Like
I wrote an RPG that was literally called procedural, and then ACAB.
so like I'm like, haha, I have you in a cell you can't break out of. And she's like, bitch, I know like 13 scenarios I've seen in 12 different movies that will absolutely all right. So using theoretically skilled, you get to use your lore instead of skullduggery.
Yeah.
And it looks like you are up against a 9.
Okay. Well, it could be worse.
Yeah, it is opposed, so you're
So my
know-it-all.
automatic success
Yeah,
doesn't hurt.
know-it-all
Yeah,
doesn't
but
proc.
my +1 does still work.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
That was an evil cackle if ever I've heard.
She's a
But
witch.
it's lore
She's a
lore
witch.
-2 and it's with your reasoning.
Yeah.
Yeah. You roll a lore test at a -2 is what it is.
Can I spend grit to go it strong?
Yeah, it's just a -2. It's a situational -2. You're basically doing a called shot with your brain to achieve the thing. So
Yeah, absolutely. So oh my God.
Does this role legally obligated you to spend grit on it?
Yes. I decided I wasn't going to use my like shiny iridescent white dice for Eloise that I've been using because Eloise has gone dark now. She's Dark Willow. All right. Cool. Great. So I got 5 successes.
over a 9.
Yes.
Oh my god!
Everyone
a
in this
person.
room's gone.
Yeah.
However, I did misfire.
I knew it. I
Oh
knew
my
it.
god!
Okay.
So
Okay. So you got 5 successes over a 9. And you
Yes.
spent grit to go it strong. That's 3 grit, right?
yes.
So you have 1 grit left.
yes.
Okay. Okay. First things first. 5 successes. Obviously, you like sure, you could grab one of their guns, but they'll notice that you grabbed one of their guns, right? So like you'd be able to get it before they notice. If that's a thing you want to do, if you want to just have one of their guns before they're ready and like pop somebody right now, like that's an option. But there's a series of things that I assume that you can think of that they would notice once they like started leaving the room or left the room, right?
Mhm.
So like so my question is like, do you want something that they'll notice quickly, like a gun or a key card or something like that? Or do you want something that they won't notice?
I didn't think that I could get like a gun.
Well, you got 5 successes, so you can get literally whatever you want, but there's like a limitation. Like while they won't notice that you grabbed it in the moment that you grab it, these guys are trained soldiers. Like they'll notice like when they step back, like your best case
No,
scenario
I
is
definitely want something. I definitely want something that they won't notice.
Okay, cool.
So like
Take a few of them. I mean, shit.
Yeah. What is yeah.
I need tools.
Yeah, hold on. I have an idea. You got 5
I can see
successes.
the plan forming in your brain.
So what you do, Eloise, is you like their uniforms have like they have medals and stuff, like sure, and like badges and so on, but their uniforms also just like have like around like the like belt area, there's like pieces like little studs of like metal and everything. And then one of them, as you're struggling, you like they have like their radio and stuff, and what you're able to do is actually get some of the pins from that radio. Basically, you modify that radio in a way that it will still function, but it'll be a little crackly, because like you basically you make it non-functional for a second. Like one of the first things you do is like as you thrash, you like break the connection from the radio like to the earpiece, so that it pops out and like cuts off. And then as you're struggling, like you grab like the like it's like a very sci-fi futuristic type like USB type fire cord or whatever, and like you're able to like snap part of the pins there to get like some of the like conductive aspects of that, and then get it back in, and then you get like some of the metal, and you get like one of them has like bobby pin in their hair that like they have a couple, and you're able to like get one of those and like snap it and like have it fall on the ground, but you like break it in a way where it falls into two pieces that only if they like sat there and like put them together they would be like, this is a little shorter than normal, as you get like a small little sliver from the middle. And like this all happens while you just like struggle and fight them as they like pin you down and force the feeding tube down and force the food down into your stomach, and then like the water down into your stomach, and then like rip the feeding tube out. It's a very, very unpleasant experience, but you are like so laser focused on using that opportunity that you've given yourself that without having to roll a machinery or technology test, you basically manage to put together a series of small things that it basically you could create kind of a static pocket that would like it would be a one-use discharge that would make it so that the lock on your door will turn off.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You set yourself up for a MacGyver. With 5 successes on skullduggery.
But what happens?
The misfire it's just a regular misfire. Yeah, so as they leave, because you were so rough with them, like you actually throw some elbows and some punches too.
It doesn't hurt, but okay.
And like they hit you back in a way that doesn't actually deal really hit point damage or injuries or anything like that. But like it becomes like a fight. Like, and they are like they pull back, and they like step back, and like one of them has like a bloody nose, and then they zap you a little bit with like their prods, and like you drop down to your knee. And Catherine goes, and we thought the big one was gonna be stupid. All right, if she's gonna be like this, double her guard and put her in cuffs. And they nod, and they produce handcuffs. It's not quite as intense as Gus's. Like you don't have the elbow constraints, but you basically have handcuffs and ankle cuffs that are attached by a single chain that they put you in. And then and you now know that you're going to have 4 guards standing outside your door instead of the 2.
That's okay. They've left me with metal. I can work with this.
Speaking of cuffs, there's one thing. Sorry, if Addie's thing is all done, there's one thing I'd love to do before Alf leaves.
Yeah. You eat your food, and he goes, "All right, back up to the wall if you could."
Yeah, I like slide the thing across. I was like, "Hey, Ralston, you got a pair of cuffs on you?"
Do.
And Gus would like to flex just one of his various manacles off.
You want to try and
I just want to break a single manacle, not like Hulk out. I just want like just like the elbows to come apart, and one of them breaks.
2, 4, 6, 8, and it's just the arms. So it's a -8. It's a athletics at a -8.
Cool. Yeah, this is just because this is fun. Just because this is fun, I'm gonna go it strong.
Okay. You spend 3 grit, you're down to 3.
I'm gonna play to the gallery.
Spend 2 grits, you're down to 1.
And that's 5 successes.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's one of the ones that's like around your elbow, and like you flex and twist, and the first thing that happens is it like cracks, and then Ralston like freaks out for a second, reaches for his gun, and you straighten your arm, and like as you straighten your arm, that crack like breaks as you like flex, like you flex your like your biceps, now you flex your fucking triceps, and it and it just goes like pop and like falls off your elbow, and just like it's still attached to the other elbow, just kind of hanging there. And Ralston has his gun out and he's pointing it at you.
And Gus doesn't make a move. His back is still totally against the wall. He just looks Ralston in the eyes. He says, "That one was coming loose."
Tunk, tunk, tunk. The door opens up, and the two see him with a gun out on you, and they walk in. They have big rifles, and they point them at you. And then
Gus is still as a statue in like as compliant a position as he can be.
What happened? He broke it. What? He broke it.
It came loose. You got another?
They sit there for a second. And you got 5 successes. It feels bad to punish you for the show thing, but I think it just happens. They're gonna put you in containment manacles. They're gonna... It doesn't work though, because they know that your muscles will atrophy. So it's not gonna be that. No, they're gonna back out, guns drawn, and then the door is gonna shut. And about 2 hours later, there's gonna be boom, boom, boom. Back against the wall. No funny business.
Does it?
And it opens up, and they seem to have fabricated better handcuffs. These ones start at, it's like a piece of entire like solid piece of metal that is like designed to fit perfectly on your forearm. And then like has a solid bar with a chain inside it, or not a chain inside it, like a hollow bar with a chain inside it, that like keeps your arms, like you can't get them together more. And then they put like they put something on your biceps that like kind of keep, like they kind of like pulls your back out, so you're like not as restricted as you would be if you were in containment manacles, which would just like keep you in the same position so much that like it would be really bad for you to like not be able to move at all. Like you can move each of these arms and muscles, but like now breaking this is like a -12.
Cool.
As they like
I do for 1 XP.
As they refortify they make custom Gus restraints.
You're goddamn right.
That will allow you to be mobile so that your muscles don't atrophy, but also are incredibly hard to break.
Cool. It's not just 1 XP, Roman. You've given Alf something terrible to think about.
Also, yes. The 2 goals are primary 1 XP. The second goal is I want to make Alf nervous so that when Judgment Day comes for him, he just lays down his gun.
Yeah, and that's gonna be that. We'll cut back to Dex and Porter as the storm is passing pretty quickly. It's already starting to be a light drizzle.
Gus goes to use his bucket.
Yeah, I think as we're walking in, I turn to Porter and I say, I'm going to ask you a loaded question. Do you want Eloise back bad enough to risk your ticket back into Markham's Landing?
Yes.
We should mention the filament to Sheriff Fly.
I think that makes sense.
He had a reaction to it. I didn't give him specifics when I mentioned it to him before. I didn't give any details. I didn't tell him what we were looking for. I didn't tell him you made a deal to get it. but
What
it
was
means
their
something to
accent?
him.
Just something.
He looked like there were a number of things keeping him from riding out to meet Henry Fawcett himself that he was suddenly resentful of.
I don't know how how we can get allies and keep them on our side, and keep this from them. So I can always find a different way. Won't be easy, but I can find a different way if I have to.
Stand by what I said the first time you told me, partner. I'll help you find whatever way works.
Thanks, Gus. So, thanks, Dex. That's non-canon. He says thanks, Dex.
And I think we walk in a waypoint.
Yeah. By the time you make it into like Waypoint proper, the storm is already basically gone. Everyone's looking around like they're very confused. Like a massive rainstorm, just like bam, bam, made its way through town. It's like it's on its own current. It defied all weather patterns. Everyone, like, no one was ready for rain. Everyone is like walking around like drenched and like wringing out their clothes, and they're like, "What the hell was that?" And like, it's actually kind of funny. Like, a lot of people are laughing. They're like, "What the hell?" Like. And then, like, you know, they're like, there's like people who are like, can I get another beer? This one's basically water now. like everyone at Waypoint just had a really weird experience as a massive like downpour, sheets of water came out of nowhere and is now over there, like moving towards the mountains.
I guess we probably head straight for the mayor's office then, or do we go to the sheriff first?
No, I think we go to the mayor.
Good.
Cool. Yeah, you guys walk in you're in the north part of town, so you're in the elevated part, like where the hill is. And so you do walk by like the sheriff's office, and various like residences, and you go up to the mayoral estate. You walk on in, there is a desk there, and oh my God. I have to go all the way back to my Waypoint notes so that I can get the name of his Porter would know.
Yo,
Weston
character, this dude got bullied so much when we playtested this Waypoint campaign because everyone was trying to get the trigger. You talk your way into a room you have no right to be in.
No, there's a different secretary now. Anyways, Pedro is here. Pedro's about 45 years old. So this actually probably is the guy from the playtest. Pedro Carr, Porter, you know him because you've lived here for a handful of months. You know that he works at the mayor's office. You walk in, he looks up to you. He's kind of like balding and has like a thick like mustache, and looks to you. He's like sipping some coffee, and he goes, "Hell of a storm, huh, Mr. Janus? You back in town?"
Just temporarily, yeah. I wasn't expecting that storm. It came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Well, how can I be of service? It looks like
Mr.
it's
Carr,
past. A couple people do
Yeah.
like leave as you walk in. Like they just jumped into the nearest building to get out of the storm, and then they're like, "All right, it's all gone," and they like pass by you.
Mr. Carr, I know Mayor Graves has just an interminably busy schedule, but we've got something that she'll be interested in. Can we see her?
Well, I mean, she has. I suppose if it ain't gonna take too much time, she has some time in a couple hours, before after she finishes her last meeting, but before she goes to dinner.
I don't know if it can wait a couple of hours. I mean, it has to do with the safety of Waypoint itself.
He like sits there for a second, looks at Dex, like looks at the two of you, and he goes, "All right. I mean, y'all been out for a minute. Go ahead, take a seat."
Thanks so much.
And you sit down, and he like write some stuff in like a notebook and everything, and then someone who works at the church steps in, and it's Mother Adionaka. She's a triptych preacher, and she walks in, seeming to have a meeting with the mayor, and you can kind of hear like in hushed tones as Pedro's like, if it's not too much trouble, preacher, there might be something that requires the mayor's attention. You mind meeting with her in a couple hours after after her last meeting? And Mother Onaka kind of looks over, sees like the two of you, like eyeballs you up, and then turns back and goes, "Won't be a problem, Mr. Carr. Thank you, appreciate it."
Lana's blessings to you, preacher.
And she nods and exits, and he goes, "All right, you're up next then."
Cheers. Thanks so much, Mr. Carr. I won't forget this.
Well, she mentioned that y'all were out doing something, so I suspect she'll be interested to hear what you said. Just give me a moment. I'll let her know it's you.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets up. Someone exits and leaves. He goes into the office for about like 20 seconds, like 40 seconds. Steps back out and goes, "Mayor Graves will see you now."
When we go in,
Graves is sitting there. She's opened up her globe that is her bar. She's pouring a whiskey. Looks to you, kind of like seems to like soak in. You guys actually look pretty good. You don't look like you're wet. Like
right.
You're not as wet as a lot of the other people in town, but like you were out, like that's like it. That's the only bit of disheveled you have. Otherwise, you guys look fully rested, totally healed, no wounds, anything like that. I guess like maybe your armor still looks a little shitty because
no, my
Dex's
armor's
armor
pristine.
100% has, I think, 2 very clear laser wounds in it.
your armor, which looks like Eloise crafted armor in like red and gold, has like 2
There's
little,
like a couple just like scorch marks that have melted.
yeah. So her eyes land on that, and she goes, "Drink," to both of you.
I'm fine.
I'll take one and a water as well.
She hands you the glass she already poured, and then pours herself another in a glass of water and sets it down. And she sits behind the desk and goes, "Reynolds and Gurley?"
That's
Captured.
Sorry to hear it. And she like takes a sip, sets it down, and goes, "Well, what do you got then?"
I'm not an educated man. I might be wrong. This sounds like proof that Brimstone Garrison hired a known illegal mercenary company. And I set the like Omnitool on the table and I play the audio file.
"You go ahead and pass him on over, and we'll take you to Brimstone, no fuss," or whatever he says.
Yeah.
She listens to the whole conversation, nods for a bit, and goes, "Damn. Well, it's something. It's enough to convince me, because I know y'all are straight shooters, and we already suspect that Brimstone was up to something. Fly mentioned that you said Blackstar was on your tail. But this ain't something that I can do a lot with. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a recording of someone saying they're Henry Fawcett and saying they're working for Brimstone. Best I can do is get someone to send someone to knock on the door of Brimstone and ask if anything nefarious is happening. And chances are that person doesn't get shown anything Brimstone doesn't want them to see."
What about something like this? And Porter brings up all of the, I think it was just like a typed testimony from Scruff. It kind of like says everything he knows about brimstone.
Do you have a copy of? Did Eloise make you a copy of all the
in
things?
her Omni tool.
I think it was in our Omni tool.
Oh
yeah.
fuck yeah! You guys have a copy of all the shit. So yeah, you have like a full on scan of like every she built all the stuff. She has the raw notes that she scanned, and then like her basically translations of the notes. It's a lot of info, and Alex Graves looks at it a little bit and goes, "Well, damn, this is the kind of thing that gets you shot." I mean, this definitely makes it so I can send someone to knock on the door, but that ain't too helpful. What I can achieve in an official capacity, even with this, there's a lot of red tape and it takes a lot of time, and I imagine with Reynolds and Gurley captured, time is not what you want to spend.
Not at all. We don't have much. What about in an unofficial capacity?
Well,
I mean, this is Waypoint, isn't it? There are drifters everywhere.
in an unofficial capacity, I can help you. I can dip into the treasury a little bit, and help you maybe hire some muscle if that's what you're looking for. And as far as whatever supplies you need, I mean, as long as you don't run up too big a tab, I mean, I've been wanting someone to expose Brimstone for a minute, and looks like y'all are on the right path. So if you need supplies, gear, whatever, you can put it on the mayor's tab. I can cover you for that, and whatever you have left over, if you need to hire some folks, some other drifters, we can arrange that too. I mean, what I can't afford to spare to help you with this endeavor, I am invested and interested in doing so. And I can get the ball rolling on the legitimate stuff, but that's gonna take more than a minute, and I can't imagine it's gonna be useful in the short term. At the very least, it'll be useful in the long term, because a couple people attack a garrison. If there's not already a suspicion on that garrison, it don't mean nothing.
I think from what I know about bureaucracy, and you know, I've lived in Markham's Landing, so I know quite a bit.
Oh God.
If there's one thing that can help break through the red tape, it's a spectacle. If we can publicly expose them, if we can create clear evidence and a story that people want to hear, I think that might help.
The fella who wrote this, she says, like pulling over like the hologram of like the scanned piece of paper. He around?
He's let's just say he's the shy type.
I don't blame him. Just had a skim.
Yeah. You know, he'd like to be as far away from this as possible, because he's terrified of going back there.
Fair enough. Had to ask.
You can see why. Yeah.
All right. So what is it you need then?
I think. Well, I think that we need people. I think we need somebody that can get us in there, and we need somebody that can let people know what's happening. We have to break in. Obviously, my plan is to break in, save Gus and Elle. That's my main priority. But if we can do that in a way that people can see what Brimstone is.
Well, I'd say it's pretty hard to imagine a way in which you can survive getting in and getting your friends out, and also do it loud enough that people notice. I mean, I can help you to some degree, but I can't get you an army. We can't go to war with Brimstone.
We get in, we get our friends out, and we go back.
I guess they can help tell the story.
Well, I can put a word out, see if there's some drifters that can help you out. Take a little while to get the right type. You need people who are willing to do something this stupid. But that can also be useful.
Oh, I know there are more than a few who'd just be willing to stick one to Fort Dearborn in general. Maybe get a few of them.
Yeah, that doesn't help the cause in the long term. We got to find the right type of people for something like this.
Fair enough.
But I can put word out.
I appreciate that, Mayor.
What else?
Dan, Seth as a player would not know, or sorry, Porter as a character would not know what else we would need to request. But you as a player are better at knowing what that is.
I mean, people to get us in and out, like
Yeah.
just like backup we can fucking trust is great. God, we've been running around with these assholes who are like, yeah, we love this cause and we'll totally help you. And we'll fucking beef it at the first chance we get to ruin the whole goddamn plan. I just want a drifter who rolls 4 dice with a reroll at a 12 to shoot a guy.
Yeah. Some competent folks. Yeah, absolutely.
Transportation.
Yeah.
Like she's honestly offered us everything that I could think to immediately ask for. I think the thing that Porter, I don't know if Porter would think about it, but this is the point I think at which to mention, like, hey, Henry Fawcett will be there and he has a proto-martyr laser.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So, people, a ride, and I suppose something that you would want to know, and I don't want to keep it from you, as partially beneficial as it is to me. Henry Fawcett, of Black Star, he's got a piece of filament, an operational weapon that he's got grafted to himself and can't be removed without, the big boom.
I mean, there are ways around that.
There are.
I mean, yeah. You just gotta fool the biometrics for a second to put it on someone else. That's it.
That's good to know. But he's got it, and I just don't want to put anybody that might be friends with you in danger.
Well, unfortunately, you forced my hand. Now I gotta tell my sheriff what's going on. I imagine he may want to give you a hand. Might be.
I could use a person like the sheriff.
Yeah, well, he don't like going off too often, but I can't imagine he'd want to sit this one out. He really has it in for McGarrett.
He should get in line.
All right. Well, I'll talk to Sheriff Fly. He'll undoubtedly be interested in helping, probably personally and directly. Then I'll see if I can scrounge up some other drifters, but depends on what kind of tab you run on supplies. So y'all go ahead and take a moment to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I know you don't want to spend too much time, but sprinting ahead of rest ain't gonna help you soon. Make sure you're situated before you go up against Brimstone. I can find people who are good at getting into places quiet, but even Brimstone's a hard place to break into. Yeah, if your plan is to go in there and get your people out, I mean, I need you to find some evidence, some more solid evidence for me. If your plan is to do a spectacle, then that's good enough. That'll work. But if your plan is to go in quiet and not make it a spectacle, that's different. So y'all work on a plan. You come back to me with that. You let me know what supplies you need from town, and then I'll see what kind of drifters I can get at your disposal. I don't want to speak for him, but I imagine the sheriff will be interested in assisting you in one way or another. He only knows one way most times to deal with things.
That's very helpful. I know I'm familiar with Fry's methods, and I think that's just fine. That's the path we're on right now. Thank you, Mayor Graves, so much for your assistance. I knew that you were the right person to take this to.
Here I was thinking I was going to be spending this time talking about refurbishing the church's roof, and now I'm going to go ahead and talk to my sheriff, and he's going to ride off into the sunset and leave me empty-handed. Get out of my office. Come on. Come back when you got a plan.
Will do. And I think just as he's leaving, Porter leans back and he says, "Oh, and Kinsey McCharlotte says hello."
A smile like plays across her face, and she goes, "That old dog? How's he doing?"
I can honestly say I have no idea.
That sounds about right.
And yeah, I head out with Dex.
As you walk away, which one of you has the highest observe?
I have a 13 observe, but I think Porter has higher awareness than me.
I've got a 12 absorb, so
Yeah. Porter, you hear McCharlotte as the door shuts.
I don't know about you, Dex, but I could use a good waypoint meal. Do you want to come with me to Free State?
Sure. Yeah, I could eat.
Cool. So the two of you head your way through Waypoint down the hill. The boardwalk's a little more crowded because the road is a little like muddy and slippery, so people are walking on the boards to try and make it make it so they can go up and down the hill safely. You get down, you turn left, you go up to Free State Bed and Brew. Eloise and Gus, you have an evening of pretty much nothing else happening in your cell unless you are actively trying to do a thing in this evening. And we will now take a break. Come on back. So I got 10:09 on the clock, so we'll be here around like 10:25ish. Take a 15-minute break. We'll see y'all in a minute. Refresh your drinks, use the restroom, and
don't tell them what to do.
You're not their boss.
You're
Don't
not
tell 'em
their
what to
boss.
do.
But chat, unionize.
Baby.
I'm just gonna click this button now. welcome back. All right. So, for anyone who is just joining, our four drifters have been split. The party is split. Eloise and Gus became captives of Brimstone Garrison. They were processed, and Gus intimidated his guards a little bit by showing that the handcuffs that were on him were not good enough, and so they created custom, or as the chat says, Gustum manacles for him. Meanwhile, Eloise refused to eat, forcing the guards to force feed her food to keep her healthy and alive, which gave her the opportunity to steal a series of small pieces of metal and tech from their gear and clothing in order to be able to create basically like a micro EMP that she can use to potentially break out of her cell, even though her cell is now guarded by twice as many guards. Also, during all of that time, I do want to give a shout out to Ryak and Laura, because it was pretty early in the session, but we were kind of on a roll, so I didn't want to like break anything because, you know, people were captured and sad, and we were talking to Kinsey. And Ryak mentioned that we forgot to hype Bittober, which is like
just when we thought all the terrible puns were done, we come in swinging with Bittober.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fucking Ryak dropped 5,000 on bits on Bittober, saying it's like Subtober but with more bits. And then Laura the Bard, of course, couldn't just do 5,000. She had to do 5,550, so that she had donated more than Ryak for Bittober. Thank you both so much. You're both amazing. We love you.
Yes.
Okay. So, Dex and Porter talked to Kinsey McCharlotte, a mysterious mountain man that they've never met before, who seems to live in a traveling storm? And Eloise and Gus are captives of Brimstone. Dex and Porter went to Waypoint and have been told by the mayor of Waypoint to come back to her with a plan, and like a full-on, this is our plan, and she will find what she can to assist them in that plan. Meanwhile, Eloise seems to have some form of a plan, as does Gus, as they are both still captives of Brimstone. So I will say, I said Eloise and Gus, was there anything else this evening that you felt like you needed to achieve, or is it just kind of rest up, move on to the next day?
I don't have anything specific for like this one night, or that I can think of.
Okay. Cool.
Except for, you know, maybe trying to find a place to hide this thing that I have made. But other than that,
well, it's a series of like random bits of metal and like wire and like
sure,
and like it's not anything that you need to like spend a lot of time hiding, because it can just be like in your jumpsuit as like rubble.
sure.
Is
there, and there's no way to like start like twisting the like links on these manacles,
like to break them,
to bend one or two out of shape, so I can have more things to work with. But if that's not,
I want to know what's your muscle and athletics score.
Well, I was hoping to use like a fulcrum.
Yeah, you would hope to use a fulcrum, but that's not the question I'm asking.
Wow.
Nasty. My athletics is 4.
Cool. That you attempt a bit and you're like, this, I'm not going to be able to do it. That's a thing that maybe Gus can pull off, not a thing I can pull off.
Cool.
Okay. So Dex and Porter, you were going to Free State to get some food and presumably lodging for some time. If you're sharing a room, you can spend a spur and you're good with food and lodging for tonight. Unless you want to get like something you can spend up to 3 spurs. The more spurs you spend, the better your food and lodging.
I'm gonna buy a room for Dex, and is Eloise's room available? Is it free?
I think my understanding is she canceled her.
It's not Eloise's anymore, but like it still exists.
Yeah, it exists. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
like, if you want to get that room, I can see if it's available. But I just want to make sure, like, Eloise, like, basically, because you guys were leaving for an indeterminate amount of time, gave up her room.
The room that Eloise was staying in.
Hey, it's available.
Excellent. Yeah, I get that room for sure, and get one for Dex as well.
Okay, cool. That room is it's 3 spurs for this week.
Yep.
And then yeah, you can get one spur or 2 spur expenditure for Dex. Also, Argulam says +1 grit to Gus because you made them take special care that you're properly restrained.
Thank you, and of course, always.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a
So I'll spend 5 spurs total. So that Dex has a nice room as well.
okay, cool. Yeah, then that gives you guys like full run of like as long as you're not drinking yourself stupid, full run of the bar and kitchen to have like decent food and okay drinks for tonight.
I'll take whatever the fish is tonight.
Yeah, they serve it up. They have a pretty good Icthitarian menu. They have a good Scoon menu because there is unlike a lot of places in the Badlands, there is actually an Icthitarian preacher here in Waypoint, preacher Emil Hangletter. Because there's an Icthitarian presence in Waypoint, which is not common in the Badlands, they have a Scoon menu. They have some Scoon options.
They're on
There's a little
fish.
fish symbol.
Yeah, exactly.
Next to the menu.
Yes, you
I
guys have a
dunno.
nice meal in front of you, and whatever drinks you want, and you both have rooms set up. You have keys. That's easy enough to achieve.
What do you think, Dex? I want this to be as effective as possible, but obviously Gus and Elle take precedence.
We gotta address the elephant in the room first. Gus and Eloise are going to be in danger for the duration of this plan.
Right. I know that. But
If your role in this plan requires you to walk away from them in danger to make sure that we get them out of there, can you do that?
how would me walking away help them escape? What do you mean?
If you need to be over there and Eloise is in danger over there, which way are you going to run?
I'll run the way that gets her out of there safe. I care about her. I know I care about Gus, but I'm smart enough to know that the long game is what we're looking at here.
That has not seemed to be the case in our previous fights. And I'm not saying this because I think you're a bad guy or you make bad decisions, but this is a place where that can't happen. If there's a place you need to be for this plan to work, and that's not by Eloise's side, I need to know that you can be there.
Do you think that Eloise giving herself up was our only option? Do you think she did the right thing?
No. I disagree with it wholeheartedly.
But do you think that I was supposed to let her do what she was doing? That would have been the better option?
No, I think you should have retreated at the start of the fight when we agreed we were going to retreat. I think you stayed because she stayed, and she stayed because you stayed. And then no one got to our defensive position in time. And It went worse than it could have.
I understand. Then I'll need your help. Because if I can't make that decision in the moment, then I need somebody to tell me to do it. And what I can promise is that I will stick to the plan as much as I can.
Okay. It was something you said as we were outside the cave. You said we all made mistakes in that fight. And I respect the hell out of you, Porter, but I disagree. I got caught. I got caught out. But I got caught out trying to execute our plan. A failure of execution is different than a mistake.
It's hard to recognize that when so often they have the same result.
It gets easier the more times people shoot at you.
Oh, that's quite the comfort. Thank you so much for that.
It's not to listen. You got what, 10 years on me? You've been around, you've been to more places than me, you're better educated, you just know more stuff, Porter. How many gunfights have you been in?
Aside from the ones I've been in with you, +1.
Okay. Porter, I've lost count.
I trust you. And I wouldn't be alive without you. I know that.
Your heart's in the right place, Porter. I just need your head to be there too.
Fair enough.
All
So,
right.
what do we do here then?
I think our best bet, regardless is whether we're trying to blow the doors wide open or just get in and get out with our friends, is to move undetected through Brimstone as long as we possibly can.
Hmm.
The longer they don't know we're there, the better position we can be in when they find out. And that helps us no matter what. And if we
Okay.
can stay, I mean, I don't think it's possible for us to just get in and get out and they never know we were there. But in that scenario, I don't know, maybe we can leave with records and evidence. And it doesn't matter that we don't blow the doors open. I guess my
Okay.
point is the longer we're quiet, the more we get our hands on before we have to start choosing between living and proving what they're doing.
Okay. Within the Omni tool, is there a schematic of Brimstone, like
We have
something
we have
part of it?
Scruff. We have everything that Scruff knew, which I don't
Yeah.
think is a full schematic of Brimstone,
Correct.
but is like a pretty significant map of the research wing
Mhm.
where Scruff was being held, and most importantly, right this second, how Scruff got out, which conceivably could be used to get in some fashion.
Sure, absolutely. The only thing that I'd worry about with that is that they would have found how Scruff got out and got rid of that escape route.
Sure.
But
Well,
if it reveals a weakness, maybe there's a similar one somewhere else.
that would be Eloise's area of expertise, unfortunately.
So we get her first then. Is within the schematics, is there like an area that would be like, this is where, not like this is where all the secrets are kept, but like a records room of some sort?
No.
Well, Scruff knew where Pruitt's office was.
Pruitt's office, the laboratory. He knows
Or
where that.
Pruitt's lab, which
Yeah.
presumably.
Yeah, it's basically the lab, the hallways that connect the lab to where Scruff was held, and then part of the entrance that Scruff saw before he was moved to where he was held.
But Scruff saw like the regular front door.
Yes.
Okay.
He was brought in normally through the front door, or at least there might. Brimstone's big enough that it probably has more than one.
He was
front
brought
door.
in through a like known
A standard
designated
door.
entrance.
and then he was brought to his holding room, and then brought to the lab, and that's pretty much all he knew. But he knew it in detail.
But if nothing else, the laboratory would have evidence of their current projects, so that has to be something, I'd imagine.
I don't know if this makes any sense, but I would guess they would want their subjects close to the lab. Does that make sense? You're a doctor.
I mean, makes sense to me that, you know, the less you have to transport them, the less chance they have to.
You at least know
hurt
that
somebody.
Scruff's holding cell, while a nice apartment, basically was close to the lab.
Yeah.
There's our goal. I guess at this point I can't think of anything else to do other than roll dice at this schematic and like see if there's any weaknesses or entryways that like we can spot putting our heads together.
Not based on just the schematic. You do see there's like several, like to your point of like they probably keep subjects nearby. Scruff remembers offshoots from the path between his place and the lab that he never was able to explore, but are in the schematics. Like there's a hall here, there's a hall here. So like there's like offshoots and like turns that he didn't take to get to the lab. So you have like an idea of at least the branches that come off of that path. But as far as like from his schematics, he has the only exterior thing he has at all is that
Is
that
the
main
way
entrance.
he snuck out.
Yeah. Well, I guess two. Yeah, he has two. He has the way he came in, which is a front door, and then the way he snuck out, which was like a pipe system that he crawled through really tightly.
I mean, if you were, I don't have a ton of experience with plumbing, but it seems like if there's pipes running through the walls, it would be a pretty big project to change how they run through the walls, right?
I mean, that
Like if you figured out how Scruff got out, the thing you would fix first is how much stuff is in between your holding cells and the walls with the pipes in them.
Yeah, what you do
So-
know is he didn't break into like a large pipe that he could crawl through. There was space between the pipes and like the shaft that they occupied. And so he was like using the pipes and like squeezing himself alongside them. Because none of the pipes were big enough to like house a person.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, Dex is not smart enough to articulate what Dan is thinking, which is like, it would be an enormous project to dude-proof all of the plumbing in your garrison. Like, that's a huge construction project.
right.
Making it harder to get at that is like the first thing you would fix, would be my guess. So maybe the way Scruff got out is still potentially a way in, just not to where Scruff accessed it from.
Right. Like it's a broom closet now instead of a cell or whatever it is.
Because
I mean-
otherwise, I mean, Yeah, I don't.
I mean, it stands to reason. The militia does have a good amount of resources, but would they really spend the time and effort on that? That's It's something to
Maybe.
think
I
about.
mean, I think we have enough
Mhm.
to give to Graves. Like we need people who can do this as quiet as possible for as long as possible,
Right.
but can hold their own when it gets loud. And that's maybe enough to go and get a better look at the garrison and see if we can find a better way in.
We need sneaky fighters. Yeah.
And as for supplies, I mean, if I had a wish list, photo replicant poncho would be hell of a help.
Like, that's first on my list as well. I think I could barely see Scruff when he was using his photo
Well,
replicant. Probably some kind of well, either digging or yeah, just something that would allow us to bypass some of the structural elements.
you're looking at either. I mean, either some kind of cutting tool or explosives, but explosives sort of defeat the purpose.
Not every explosive makes a big noise, though. Maybe just something that can cut through something, melt through something, even without making too much of a mess or too loud of a noise. Something like a tech or um, I don't know, chemistry fella.
You know the sound better than me. Who are we talking to find these things?
Do I know anybody who fits those parameters that's in Waypoint or travels to Waypoint regularly?
You're just talking about someone who can give you supplies, right? Not someone to go on the job with you.
I guess somebody with the knowledge that we need.
Sure. Go ahead and roll connections. It's a little specialized, so we'll make it a -3.
Sorry, that was a -3.
Yes.
Thank you.
What you got there, Porter? Is it another misfire?
I know that you're hungry for my misfires as well as arms, but not this time. I am gonna spend 2 grit to play to the gallery, so I can count this 14.
Okay.
3. That's 4 successes then.
Okay. Well, you know that the blacksmith in town, Loretta Rose, can whip up just about anything.
Right.
So if you're looking for supplies, it would take her a little bit of time to craft them if she doesn't have them on hand. So the more specialized, the less likely she is to have it on hand.
Mhm.
But you know that she can pull that off well enough. Otherwise, other people who are like permanent residents, well, I mean, Loretta Rose has an apprentice. She's gone through a few of them, but right now it's Percy O'Kelly.
That poor person.
Um, if you're looking for something that's like purely like acidic, like maybe Dr. O'Donovan could put something together. But those are like the permanent residents and like the places you could go to like purchase supplies to make the things or have someone make the things for you.
Sure.
If you're looking for a specific person, that like might like a drifter that passes through town from time to time, and might maybe be willing to join on the job or like provide their expertise for a fee or anything like that. Madeline Grayson comes to mind. You've there's like a couple nights at like the Golden Spike where the two of you like hit it off and had like a good time, and you exchanged some supplies also. Like she had some stuff that was useful for you to sell, and you had some stuff that was useful for her crafting. And because of that, like you think like you know that she kind of specializes in like explosives and ways to bypass like structural integrity and stuff like that. She's a bit of a demo man. So like you know that she might be someone you could hit up. You don't know if she's in town right now. She doesn't spend a ton of time in Waypoint, but she does pass through it pretty frequently. And you do have her LRC, even if she's not in town.
There's a few people that I can reach out to, but this is enough, I think, to take to the mayor. I think the plan that we have right now is to sneak in through the weak point, if still possible, try and get as close to Gus and Elle as we can and get them out quietly. And if we can't get them out quietly, we might just have to shoot our way out. But the main effort here is extraction. And secondarily, if we can find evidence in that lab, we get it and we take it out.
Yeah, I think that's good. If you want to take that to the mayor, I can head over to the blacksmith and start working on supplies.
All right, sounds good.
Cool. Are you going straight back to the mayor, Porter? It's kind of late at this point in the night. You know that the mayor's like office is basically closed. Also, the blacksmith is closed too. Yes.
Never mind. It's far too late.
No, I didn't. It got so dark so quick. I'm still messed up about what time it is. Did you?
You actually see there's like a calendar and a clock on like just on display in Free State, and your like the Omni tool and your survival kit or kits have like a clock and a calendar, and did you not sync up? It is 3 days and like 9 hours later than what your devices think they are.
I have to fix that. We can see them in the morning, I guess. Let's try and get an early start though.
Yeah. Well, I'm always up.
Cool.
Maybe if there's someone you want to reach out to, send the message tonight.
Yeah, like you said, there's somebody that I might be able to meet up with. I can at least get to the LRC tower.
I should send a message. Yeah, okay, let's go.
Let's go.
All right, you both go to the LRC tower. Who's sending a message to who?
Porter sending a message to Madeline Grayson for sure.
Cool.
I am sending a message to Isabel.
Okay. Porter, what's your message? Just like are you in town? Or are you going to be in town type thing? Or
yeah, might possibly have a job. I know that'll get her attention. The clink clink of spurs in a bag.
Funded by the mayor.
Yeah.
All that goodness. Yeah. You can throw that message out easy enough.
And do I have any incoming in my inbox?
I need to remember someone had no, none of you had. There was no LRC communication between y'all and the Raven, right? Like the Raven.
He sent us a bird.
Yeah, he sent a bird because Truman was like, "I'll let the Raven know," and then the Raven left a folded.
And then a bird showed up.
It was an origami bird.
I thought my recollection is an actual bird dropped off the origami bird.
No. There was just a bird sitting on Eloise's finished helicopter.
Great. So I just believe a bird dropped it off. I just didn't see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Flashbacks of a past life.
So yeah, Porter, you're able to send that message off. You don't have any incoming messages or anything like that.
Okay. All right.
Dex, you're sending a message to Isabel.
Yeah. Yeah, it amounts to, hey, this is everything I've done since I've been out here on my own. I'm about to do this thing, which I described to her, like why and what we're about to do. Um, I guess if I die, avenge me.
That's great.
Oh,
Thanks in advance. Hope you're well.
and
We
then
stopped at
the
the ice cream place at Tobias Station.
P.S.
PS, yeah,
We
exactly.
stopped by the ice cream place at the buy station. Still got it. Cool.
And the last thing I want to ask, is the Light in the Darkness subscription in Gus's name?
I believe the latest one is in Dex's name.
I mean, I could use it. Pick me up if you couldn't.
I'll check.
Is it right to read it without Gus?
We can know the title without Gus.
Yeah, fair enough.
There is another issue out. It's called Darkest Light.
It sounds like a good one.
Okay. When we shoot Henry Fawcett in the face, and then God, probably also Schaefer and Pruitt and
Yeah,
maybe McGarrett.
just for the fun of it, right?
Jimmy and Gus can read A Light in the Darkness, Darkest Light.
As long as we read it out loud so that it annoys Eloise, I'm game for it.
This is good.
Open up a special pocket in one of your bags, slip it in.
Then I think traveling through a storm and through time and space, I would imagine that Porter's probably bushed. So he heads straight back and gets inside his lavish room and takes a bath.
Yeah. Absolutely. The evening passes without any event for any of you. And then the next day, around breakfast time, early breakfast time, Eloise and Gus, there's a knock on your door, followed by back against the wall opposite the door.
Yes.
Cool. You both comply. The door opens. The same people come in. So for you, Gus, it is Ralston, and for you, Eloise, it is Barton. And they step in. They set a tray down with some slightly more breakfasty looking mush, and and then step back and put their backs against the door opposite you. And Barton says, "Gonna eat this time?" To you, El. You also notice next to your or on your tray, El, there's an extra cup, a smaller paper cup.
Never knew you to be so chatty.
She gestures to the food.
Sure. What's the food? I eat it. What's in the cup, I guess.
The smaller cup has a couple pills.
Okay.
Gus, you don't have that extra cup. You just have water and food. And Ralston stands across from you and says, "You can go ahead and eat now, sir."
Morning, Ralston.
Morning.
You know what this stuff's supposed to be?
It kind of tastes like egg.
Oh,
Kinda.
you're eating the same stuff, Ralston?
I mean, we get some bread on the side.
Having first class, I'd expect them to have something a little hotter and fresher, I'd think.
Well, I mean, it don't make a difference because I don't think this stuff can expire, but you do get the leftovers.
Oh, well, I'm honored. I think Gus does make like a little bit not too friendly, but occasional like casual conversation with Ralston. Not
He actually
Uh,
initiates it a little bit. He goes, "The
Yeah.
new manacles, they uncomfortable?"
I mean,
I guess that's a dumb question. They too
Yeah, the
uncomfortable?
I don't know. I managed to work in some curls with them. They give me a little extra weight, so that was convenient, I suppose.
What?
Curls. Ralston, tell me they got you on some sort of physical regimen.
No, I understand what you mean. What? I don't. But there's something else, sir.
I appreciate that. I suppose gotta work out, gotta meditate before I go to sleep. It's it's the triptych way I was brought up on.
Ralston looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Then he goes,
You man of faith, Ralston?
"Not really, sir. My pappy, he said he was triptych, but he didn't act too triptych."
Yeah, triptycism lies a lot more in actions than it does in words.
I mean, he'd drop me off at the church. He'd sometimes be there, but I think it was more like daycare.
Remember
Spree.
any stories, Ralston?
Yeah, I mean, they only so many of them, and if you go there long enough, you hear them a bunch.
What's your favorite?
There's this one in Instinct,
Mhm.
where Alana sleeps in an axe handle den.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking it was kind of nice. I always thought axe handle hounds were kind of cute, you know.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I always liked that one growing up. But I mean, I ain't been to I ain't been to church in some time, sir. I stopped that once I was about 10 or 12.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm sure you heard enough stories to know that Lana always says it ain't in who you say you are, it ain't in where you go, it's what you do that determines the worth of a life.
He goes quiet at that. Eloise, do you take your pills?
I will. What are these supposed to do? Are they experimental or are they sedatives?
I'll put you to sleep. Doctor's ready to see you.
Well, I have a lot to discuss with him, so if that's the only way,
She nods.
well, I take them.
You eat your food, take your pills, drink your water. About 2 minutes after they clear the tray away, you fall asleep. Gus, as you finish up, Ralston goes, actually, you know what, Gus? Roll a manipulation test for me. Take a +6.
Ooh. All right.
It was going to be a +4.
Oh my.
Then you brought
goodness.
God into this.
It's one. You know what? I'm gonna make my own luck.
It is opposed. Unfortunately, I rolled no successes.
Oh, it's opposed. Okay.
Imagine Alf Ralston having bad discipline.
I rolled 2 17s and a 16,
Oof.
and then I re-rolled one of the 17s into a 19.
Amazing. I got 2 successes, but it is a misfire.
Okay. Yeah. So Ralston steps out, like grabs the tray, has you put your back against the wall again. grabs the tray, and then like as he's about to leave, he turns back and goes, I was going to transfer. Yesterday you said surprised seeing me here. I figured you talked to Mr. Bailey. I was going to transfer. But it's a lot there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through, especially a place like this. It's kind of a special station, right? So I figure my tour's up in a little while, and then I was just going to not re-enlist.
This is the sort of place they let you sort of end your tour and not re-enlist?
I don't know. I ain't gone through the process yet. I mean, there's people that leave.
Ralston, I gotta be honest with you. Out there, we've been looking for people who left Brimstone. Only one we did find left through some pipes.
Yeah, there's your misfire right there. He goes, you he like folds the tray against himself, getting some of the mush on his uniform, and goes, I gotta go, sir. No fun of business. And he leaves and shuts the door. He looks like terrified that you just gave him that information.
Oh, dang. Oh, dang it, Gus. All right.
That's perfect. That's way better than any other misfire. Because Ralston still cares, but also now he has really important information that would give him a lot of stuff. Okay, so
yeah.
Eloise. Well, actually, Eloise, you don't wake up yet. It's early in the morning. Jackson, Porter, you guys wake up. Porter, you wake up first. How?
I wake up at sunrise every day.
He doesn't mean to wake up.
Okay, good.
He wakes up in terrible pain.
Right.
There it is.
You did drugs. You did drugs.
Porter, no matter what, you suffer from these side effects.
Great.
Going in long lasting into this next day.
Mm-hmm.
As the tonic you took wears off, you are affected by slowed reflexes, which means you have a -2 to initiative rolls. Migraine.
Great.
Which means you are at a -1 in all tests when you are in bright lights, such as direct sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
Motion sickness.
Mm-hmm.
Which means when you're in a moving vehicle, you're at a -3 to all tests.
Wow.
Stiff joints. Which means any athletics or gymnastics tests to climb or fall successfully are at a -3. And also you take 5 extra falling damage.
Sorry, repeat that one.
Any gymnastics or athletics tests to climb or like reduce falling damage are at a -3.
Cool.
And if you ever do take falling damage, you take a static additional 5 falling damage that you have to try and avoid.
Excellent.
Not done. Next is double vision.
Great.
To go with your migraine.
Jesus Christ.
Which means all weapons you wield have 1 less accuracy to a minimum of 1.
Wow.
And I got off easy with that scruff tonic.
You also have feeble-minded, which is defense tests against insight powers are at a -3. These are all long-lasting effects. They will last for a handful of hours, though they feel really potent. Like maybe they might last longer than most long-lasting effects.
Wow.
I am not done yet, though.
No, come on
What?
now.
But what if he got his hands on another dose? Could he get a little hair of the dog? And probably that wouldn't hurt him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
that.
Porter, I need you to roll a negate test at a -6.
Great. Oh, God, negate. I'm already so good at it, you know?
God, Porter's gonna. We tried so hard to save Porter all those
Mhm.
times, and he's gonna die from the one time he did drugs.
That's all it
Right.
takes.
These experimental drugs. This is your brain on
Everything.
and this is your brain on experimental brimstone drugs. Any
feel
other
like I'm in-
questions?
I feel like I'm in New Vegas. It's like I took Jet once and now I'm totally addicted. Dang.
I can't even go it strong. So that's no hits on that.
Ooh.
I have really bad news for you, Seth.
No. This is how he dies. This is it.
No.
Loses an arm.
Just falls off.
Just remember this. Remember this, because I'm going to have you roll a single d20.
Great.
Remember this. Write it down if you have to.
Yep.
1 through 5, muscle. 6 through 10, durability. 11 through 15, finesse.
No.
And 16 through 20, tenacity.
Ooh.
I legitimately thought you were about to say 16 through 20 is all three.
Oh, that would have been terrible. Okay. All right. It's a purple one. It's one of the good ones. I hope.
Good boy. I don't even know what you want to get, Porter.
I have no idea. Right. Looks like it's durability.
Of course it is.
Oh, I don't think that's the one you wanted to get.
No, probably not.
Oh God. Oh, Tommy knows this ain't the one you wanted to get.
Tell the man what you've done to him, Tommy.
Look him in the eyes.
Because you failed your negate test, you are affected by the worst side effect that this tonic has to offer, as it basically turns into a toxin in your blood, an experimental toxin that is unlike any other toxin all around manifest. Seth, I need you to take your character sheet and reduce your durability stat, your durability attribute, by 1 permanently.
Oh.
Seth, in a way, Porter's a pioneer.
Yeah, you can say that. First time this has ever happened to anybody.
Oof. Can we get some Porters in the chat for this man's hit points?
Put some Porters in the chat for this man's hit points.
Don't forget that affects both your dice pool and potentially your injury total, and also your hit points and your
overflow.
So, yeah, that's overflow too as well.
Oofa doofa.
All right, and wait, injury that gets me 1 less.
I don't.
Space?
What's your?
If it reduces your dice pool, it reduces your total injury slots.
Correct.
It does.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. You have injury
Great.
slots basically equal to your dice pool.
That great. Excellent.
That's a nasty boy. Oh, that's not what you wanted to roll.
No. Ouch. God damn it. That's horrible. Why would a loving fish god let this happen to me? I don't understand.
Drugs. Even once.
Ow.
To be fair, these are all the attributes that Porter has 5 or less on.
Well, now he has even less. Okay,
Yeah.
so Porter, you wake up before the sun even rises, in a cold sweat, but your body is on fire. You feel both extremely hot, like hotter than you've ever felt in your life, like hotter than like you falling asleep in the sun, but also freezing cold. Your body is shivering. As you try to get up out of bed, your legs and arms and teeth are shivering and chattering so much that you fall over and you knock like a lamp over and it shatters. You try to stand back up and your legs and arms do not have the strength to support you, and you just kind of flop there on the ground, freaking out for a second until you're able to kind of like grab onto the edge of the bed and pull yourself up. Your eyes burn like they're drier than they've ever been. Every sound you make, every sound you hear just goes from your ear out your forehead like a sharp knife as like your head throbs with pain. You can hear your heartbeat, and every beat makes your entire body feel like weaker and more shriveled. You stand up and walk over and try to grab onto a glass of water, and you just knock it off of the nightstand and it shatters on the ground. You stumble a little bit more before like kind of finding your center of balance, and then you just vomit. Everything you got in your stomach completely evacuates onto the floor. And you don't know this yet, but once that feeling of that like violent evacuation and all the other feelings go away, you're never gonna quite feel the same.
Ugh. Yeah, that's horrible. That's terrible. Yeah, so I think he pukes, and then he kind of has to collapse his way back to the bed. Did Dex get possibly by any chance a room next to mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got your old room.
Oh, nice. That's cute. Yeah, so Porter's gonna like kind of knock on that wall as he knows that's like the divider between the room.
Dex, you wake up.
Help! Ow!
Yeah, I'll get up and go over to Porter's room.
Yeah. You open it up. Luckily he left the door unlocked. You open it up and you see Porter has a pretty like ruddy face and like a pretty deep tan, but he looks like zombie gray. Like it's like all of the blood has evacuated his his skin. Like he looks near death. His lips are kind of like a darker bluish tinge. His eyes look so bloodshot, like someone rubbed sand in them. And his body is like convulsing and shivering like beyond his control.
Ow!
What the fuck happened?
I don't know. It hurt. I don't like it. I don't stop.
That you get a grip for mood lighting.
I'm gonna go make the doctor angry. Yeah, I would say stay here, but and then I close the door and head to the doctor.
Yeah, the doctor's the sun hasn't risen yet, so the doctor's office is closed, but you know he lives there. You knock on the door and he goes, "God damn it!"
Boy,
And
they're such babies when they're sick.
And about like 10 seconds later, the door opens up and Dr. Charles O'Donovan sits there looking at you. He's in like a button up like pajama shirt and slacks. He's got slippers and like a night cap on. And he looks at you and he's holding his med. He goes, "What?"
I need you to make a house call.
Of fucking course. And he steps out and like slams the door behind him.
Yeah, I'll take him back to Porter.
He follows you through the whole time. He's like, fucking, no, does anyone care about me? No, it doesn't matter if I get no, I'll just sleep. No.
Dex is totally unfazed by this man's grumpiness.
That makes sense. You get there and he goes, he grabs you and he goes, what am I walking into?
I know he puked, and he looks like he is already dead, but he continues to make noises and speak and move.
What happened?
Do not know.
Fuck. Thank you very the fuck much. And
I'm sorry. I went to get a person who might know what's happening. Are you not a doctor?
bangs the door open. Porter, the sound of the door banging open is like the worst thing. You fall down. And he goes, Jesus, what the hell? Janus, is that you?
Mm-hmm.
He like sits there for a second, kind of soaks in the scene of the disheveled and destroyed room and the completely like deadened Porter, and goes, what the fuck are you doing there in the door? Get him on the bed. As he comes over.
Help lift Porter out of the bed.
Sets you on the bed and he goes, Janus. And he's like shining a light in your eye, which sucks because you're migraine, and like takes your pulse and he's like, what'd you take, Janus?
It was a secret drug. Ow.
He looks to Dex for clarification.
Dex now remembers. Dex. He took an experimental combat enhancer.
Porter taps his nose and points at Gus or Dex, and weirdly Donovan becomes more calm. He goes, oh, and like starts rummaging around in his bag, and he goes, all right, Janus, this is gonna put you to sleep for a minute.
Okay.
Do you want to resist the toxin he gives you as he puts
No.
yeah.
No, I don't.
He puts you to sleep. And then he injects your unconscious body with a couple things, and then actually wraps a med kit around Porter's arm, which starts like beeping, and like occasionally, like even within the time he's still in the room, like after like 6 minutes, like it seems to inject another thing. And he goes, look, he ain't gonna feel good when he gets out. And then the thing like beeps and he like pulls out like a blood sample like ticket and like looks at it and he goes, Jesus, where did you guys, I don't want to know. Don't fucking tell me. I've seen some shit before. This is honestly, you should be happy your friend's heart didn't explode. I think most people, how old is he?
30?
Yeah. If he was younger, if he was like 19, this would just kill him. That's crazy. I mean, something like this, I mean, I've seen stuff like this before, but typically it comes with a booster. Does he have a booster for this thing? Usually what happens is when you're coming down, you're supposed to hit yourself with a booster, and then that staves off some of the worst side effects.
I'm gonna guess he doesn't have one.
Right. All right. And he like folds up the like the blood work and then goes, well, this will make him feel a little bit better. I mean, a little bit better. He's still going to be suffering from most of the side effects when he wakes up, but few hours, if he can hold his food down, have him eat some food. If nothing else, keep him hydrated. But I mean, to put it kindly, this thing took some years off your friend's life. He don't have no more, do he? Because if he does, we should throw that shit in the mud.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, if you find out, the responsible thing to do is get the fuck rid of it. I don't care what kind of a fucking gunslinger god that made him.
Yeah, I mean, he got better. I don't know if I wouldn't listen. I didn't go to school. Wouldn't the smart thing be to give it to you so you can find out what's in it?
No, I mean, it's done. He didn't take the booster in time. He's in it now. He's in the shit.
Okay.
I don't want nothing to do with this. I want this to never happen again. So if there's more of this, you pour that shit down a drain. You don't talk to no one about it, because if someone else takes this and ends up on my door, I mean, I ain't gonna have the booster. I don't want whoever you guys. I mean, look, I know Janus. He's okay, but he didn't make this himself. And you don't carry yourself
I just told you I didn't go to school.
Exactly. So, so whoever done made this thing, I don't want to have any affiliation with them. You understand? So you got more of this, you pour it down a drain, you stay the fuck away from it, because if they didn't give you a booster, they was trying to kill you.
Okay.
All right. Obviously, you know where to find me.
You have a sign on your door.
Fucking comedian up in here. He stands up and he goes, if it gets worse, I can put him out again before he dies, but I can't make it much better. Way I see it, though, he's gone through the worst of it. He'll come back feeling pretty shitty, and then he'll never feel the same again.
But it'll live?
Oh yeah, he'll live.
Okay.
Or he'll die. Probably not, though. I'd say like 90% chance he just lives.
You don't seem to like talking to people. If you'd led with that, we could be done already.
Well, then we're done. And he backs up his bag and he goes, smooth sailing, I guess, and like walks out.
I don't know a lot of doctors, but it feels like he's doing part of it wrong. Yeah, I guess. Does it doesn't seem like Porter's gonna wake up anytime soon.
O'Donovan said a few hours. He's gonna be out for a few hours.
Well, I don't think it makes sense to waste the day.
Where do you head, Dex?
I'm gonna head to the blacksmith. I guess like I wait until it is business time, so
Yeah.
I guess I wait with Porter until then.
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, I guess probably what would happen is the blacksmith would open and you'd have like 30 minutes before Porter woke up, so you couldn't go to the blacksmith and then like double back for Porter. So like
Sure.
you have this awkward time where you're like, I could go, but I don't want Porter to wake up alone. so probably that's what plays out. Unless you just let Porter wake up alone.
I'm not going to the blacksmith to have like a long and detailed conversation.
Yeah.
I leave a note.
Write a little note, lay it down, and you go to.
Here's what is the real deciding factor. I don't know what I'm gonna do to alleviate the situation if it's bad.
Dex leaves a note saying that he's gone to Rose Blacksmithing and then heads to Rose Blacksmithing. Meanwhile, Eloise, you wake up. You're in a lab that you've seen before through Scruff's memories, though it's a little different from when Scruff saw it. It's actually better equipped than you saw it. And standing there, clipboard in hand, is a man a little under 6 foot, relatively athletic build, in his 50s-ish. He's got gray hair, a gray kind of mustache that connects to his sideburns. Looks at you with just like the sharpest of green eyes. And he's wearing a lab coat. His hair is slicked back. It's a little bit long. It hangs just a little low on his neck. And he smiles kindly and goes, Eloise Reynolds. I'm Dr. Ulysses Pruitt. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now, if you don't mind, I have some questions for you. That's where we're going to end tonight's session. Everything's fine, guys.
Look, I'm
Yeah, you
making
just keep
friends
saying
with
that.
and revealing precious information to Alf. My part of the plan is going great. Alf's my ticket out of here.
Honestly, probably.
Yeah, right? No, I'm serious. Gus knows Gus knows what he's doing, by which I mean he's making a friend, because that's how Gus would break out of a prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Full on. Hard stop. All right. We're going to move into Q&A. If you have any questions about the game, about the campaign, about the players, anything, throw it in the chat. Otherwise, we have some questions that
This first one's a real doozy.
a few questions in the Discord that we're gonna go through. Okay, in honor of the passing comic creator, I'm gonna say this name wrong, Takao Saito. Let's build Golgo 13. Golgo? Notable traits: assassin, expert marksman, tough as nails, master chemist / toxicologist, expert driver, genius level intellect, polyglot, master strategist.
So just a few things then.
Just a couple.
He's a manga character who's existed for nearly 60 years. So there's too much within one character for one character. But how would we get
do it in two?
How would we get to our most close approximation of this character?
Well, I've got, I guess this might be a little spoilery, but this is something I've always thought about as we've been thinking a little bit about I've been thinking about Rico Kazak a little bit. The Rico Kazak is a man with tools for the job, and the problem with making Rico Kazak is that he's not one character, he's different every episode. And so I think that's what this guy is. Like, he just hot swapped in and out talent trees and eventually leveled up so high he just had like tens across the board.
I do think you could split. That is probably the most accurate. I do think if you split this boy down the middle, you can make two boys that amalgamate the one boy.
Like Infusion Dance or something.
Yeah, because like assassin is subtlety, expert marksman is sure hands, tough as nails is hardiness, master chemist, intellect, polyglot, strategist is know-how, driver is vigilance. That's only 4 talent trees.
That's fair. That's fair.
You can even throw some other stuff on there too. Make like a militant tinkerer, or get sure hands and know-how and hardiness. And then you're extremely hard to kill. You're very good at fighting, and you can poison a guy while you're at it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like a urbanite outlaw, and that gets you vigilance and subtlety. Yeah, you can do it. I think you only need 2 characters to make this whole character.
Only 2.
And they're just always together and they're never apart.
I like that.
They're conjoined twins.
Yes. They're conjoined twins who both had different histories and both have different paths.
Exactly.
I remember our parents training us to the bone to fight in a war. I mostly remember just living in the city.
Argalam's next question is relevant to the current ongoing story. Can an energy-based shield deflect a laser? Any shield can deflect a laser. If you have a shield, deflect is an option for you to defend yourself. However, there's a couple more things to this. One thing is there is, I think, a specific shield mod, maybe. There?
I forget. I
Yeah,
forget if
there
we
is.
decided we needed this.
Yeah, there is. There's a shield mod that is reflective coating, which makes
Yeah.
it your shield is better specifically at deflecting lasers. So you can get that shield mod, reflective coating, and you can deflect lasers better. And then the other thing, which is important, is if you have the tier 4 talent, offensive shielding, then when someone shoots at you with a laser and you use your shield to stop that laser, you can
shoot them
send
with a laser.
You send it back. You send it back.
Monk style.
The real important part of this question is that there's mechanically nothing that says what your shield is made of.
Yep.
You can say your shield is made out of like Eloise's cool deployable energy shield. You could say your shield is made out of, let's say, a bunch of squirrels in a wrist pocket that build out a sort of wooden bulwark as you deploy it. That's allowed.
That's your next one is that. It's not
Yes, because I'm trying to illustrate that this insane thing that I literally just thought of is well within the mechanics of Manifest to do.
It is true.
As long as the bunch of squirrels in your wrist aren't doing anything that a deployable shield doesn't do, you're golden.
I will say all of that is up to GM discretion, but yes, Dan is objectively correct. Rules as written, the way Manifest works is your the flavor of your weapon or your armor or your gear even can all be reshaped and changed to like fit the aesthetic that you think best fits your character within the mechanics. For instance, actually a good example, Porter uses primarily, I mean, maybe not so much right now, but at least at the beginning, primarily used a projectile weapon, which in a lot of ways is like designed to feel like a bow and arrow or a crossbow or something along those lines, or Leo Riggs's dart gun, right? But Seth wanted something that like shot canisters. He wanted to make it a little bit more like Harlequin's like fun gun or whatever, where it shoots like little canisters that have different effects. And so like sometimes the canisters are like just solid slugs, sometimes they're spiked, sometimes they explode, sometimes they have like tonics in them that like make a little pocket of air. And all of that was just like Seth was like, I want this as well. Oh, we just saw it. It was just there. Seth was like, I want this to be like kind of what my gun is. Can that work for the projectile? And I was like, absolutely, 100%. It's just a matter of what you load into the funnel and you fire that thing out. It's like totally fine. I get it. And like, that's Porter's gun. Porter's gun shoots canisters. But mechanically, they're not any different than other projectile weapons. Oh, there it is again. And so, like, that's why also mechanically I allowed them to be used in other projectile weapons. It was just a matter of breaking apart the canisters to, like, refit them, and then it was done. No. Because mechanically it doesn't change, but aesthetically it does. We intentionally made it because I always know every time I play an RPG, like, every time I play an RPG, I get a thing and I'm like, oh, the rules say it's this, but can it be this? And it doesn't change anything mechanically. I'm like, I want this sword to be an axe. And like, it never feels good when the GM's like, it says sword, you have to use a sword. And I was like, why? They're both slashing damage.
You can't cut down trees with a sword.
What Tommy's saying is your projectile could be a crossbow. It could be this cool canister gun. It could be a slingshot, shooting squirrels coated in different poisons.
Yeah.
It could be Randy Johnson's arm.
I'm just gonna leave here. I don't want to be here anymore.
See, you're dipping the squirrels in poison. I'm getting different kinds of poisonous squirrels.
Yes. Totally, guys, totally allowed.
I mean,
Listen, you gotta listen. Tommy's not the guy you gotta convince. Whoever's at the head of your table, that's who you have to convince.
Oh,
and if they're into the squirrel slingshot, You have the squirrel slick shot.
Dan ain't wrong. Dan ain't wrong. Yeah, I don't need to approve it.
You come to my table. You come to my table for the squirrel slick shot.
Yes.
Come to my table at the convention. I'll freaking write it in Sharpie, baby. Let's go.
All projectiles are actually squirrels. Okay.
There we go.
All right. Oh, Argalam has. I didn't see this one. This is exciting for me. All right. Argalam says, because Tommy has been playing so much Apex Legends on his personal streams. There it is right there. Jolly Poncho. It's on Twitch. You can go there and watch me play video games. Yeah, I'm going to be playing next Friday. I'm going to be playing some Valorant. You should jump in. Addy will be there. And Argalam says, since Tommy has been playing so much Apex Legends on his personal streams, let's build Valkyrie, which happens to be my favorite character in Apex. Yeah. He's right. He doesn't need to put notable traits. Okay, so Valkyrie. Valkyrie uses a jetpack to get around. That's like her main thing. Her jetpack has little like missile launchers that can like make an area bad for enemies. And those are like her two main things. The other thing is like her jetpack allows her to do like short distance travel and also really, really long distance travel, which in Manifest is not different. You just have a jetpack, you can do both. The only other thing she has is she has like a tech lean to her because she can scan like the beacons that are scattered around the map to get like more information on things. So Valk definitely has the vigilance tree. 100%. Valkyrie has the vigilance tree. She's very good of a jetpack. She has a jetpack. She uses it to great effect.
I did just check. You can put a driver operated weapon on a jetpack.
Thank you for looking at that, so I didn't have to, Dan. Yeah. So you put a driver operated weapon on a jetpack, and you use that. You don't have to roll finesse or ranged to shoot with it. You just straight up do drive and you hit with that thing. So, or I guess in this case, pilot, because she's flying. So she uses pilot to shoot her little like arm missiles, and they'll do a decent amount of damage. She puts a little driver operated weapon on there. It's got to be light, I assume at that point.
Yeah, based on the body of a jetpack, you can only put a light firearm on there.
Yeah, so in Manifest, it won't be quite, well, I mean, it will be kind of as effective. Basically, I think the way, if you really wanted to make it match with Val, because her missiles don't do that much damage, but they do disable a little bit, you put like electric rounds in there or something.
It's a full auto light firearm with shock darts in there.
Exactly, because the shock darts slow them down, which is what her tactical ability does. And then from there, it's just vigilance for sure. Honestly, still probably sure hands because you're an Apex Legends character, which means most of what you do is shoot guns. Yeah. So you get that in there, and then whatever build of firearms you like is what you do for that. I'm like, my third
honestly,
is like
based on the running, jumping, sprinting, sliding, and mantling of Apex, like it's subtlety.
Ooh, you get like the wall running abilities and stuff so that you can always make it up on top of something. But with Valk, you don't do that much mantling because you just fly everywhere.
Sure, if you're good.
I've
run out of the gas, Tommy.
I think it's either brawn for the athletic stuff or hardiness just so that you can have purple shields. And I think that is my Valk build in Manifest. And do I want to do that for my next Manifest character? Yes. Thanks a lot, Argalam. It'd be so easy. And then Argalam asks, finally in the Discord, I just saw Sling Squirrel in the chat. Argalam asks, how much does a first class high speed rail ticket cost? Which Manny said, if you have to ask, you can't afford one. I think it depends on the distance of the trip, right? Like, if it's fucking Freedom City to Liberty City, it's gonna be way cheaper than like Markham's Landing to like Glenspire, right? Because those are like, that's multiple stops along the way. But I think a decent average for first class would probably be around like 80, 85 spurs. Like, it might be a little cheaper if it's just like one stop and it's a short distance, but it might be way more expensive if it's like around the planet. So I think 80.
I forget in the podcast season, they go from Glenspire to, I think, Freedom or Liberty. I don't remember where they go to from Glenspire.
It's Liberty.
And Giles pays their ticket as his like final thing. And I sort of remember that one being like 100-ish spurs. I don't remember if you ever said it. It's expensive.
Expensive. For first class, expensive. Yeah.
You know what's really funny is looking back and remembering that at the beginning of that season, Badlands Pete's mom bought him a ticket on the train.
It's true.
That's cute.
Hey, I got on that train for free.
You are correct. You are absolutely correct.
Being fucking transported. Oh,
damn it.
Jesus. Fucking pretty boy.
Yeah, I think the average is 85. I think they could be maybe as low as 70 and as high as 120.
Depends on the time of year also. Like, you want to look at the rates and like the peak
Yeah.
days.
What day
around
of
the
the
holidays.
week? Like,
Yeah, right. If you buy on
You know,
Tuesdays,
like if you're traveling the night before Fire Nights, like that's bonkers.
Oh.
You gotta go a week early, or like honestly, go after.
Yeah.
Yeah, to give you a sense of how much that is, like 85 spurs is like $13,000 for first class.
Like 85 spurs buys you some extremely good specialty items that just do their thing forever instead of you being comfortable on a train for 3 hours.
You can easily buy a nice car.
Tells me that my mental image of Watts riding the train is fairly accurate based on his history. He has a lot of money because he spent 12 plus years just traveling and working and never having a house. Well, you know, the vehicle requires maintenance and fuel, so.
Listen, drifting is lucrative, and if you do it for just enough time to set yourself up to buy a bar and use your very powerful drifter skills to run that bar and also work a second job, it's incredibly profitable.
Yeah. Kinsey, Pax, and Roland made so much money running their bar for like 4 months. And
Dude,
the only reason they didn't walk away fucking like stuffed with spurs in their pockets is because they spent that money to fund a revolution.
Fund the revolution. We had a secret room full of guns. That don't come cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was not cheap. Kinsey was pulling double duty, building guns and building menus that would attract all of the hottest critics into Tobias Station.
And with that, I have no other questions in the Discord. I don't see any in the stream chat, so I believe we're gonna call it for tonight, y'all. We're gonna be back on next Tuesday. That's Tuesday, the 12th of October. And we will see what continues to happen as Eloise is face to face with Ulysses Pruitt for the
Throw
first
some
time.
L's in the chat. She's in a lab. She's gonna get experimented on. It's gonna be a bad time.
Eloise has not had a good time here at Brimstone. Gus has had also not a good time at Brimstone, but like slightly better because
He's got a friend.
He's got an ice guard. And Dex and Porter are isolated in Waypoint. The party remains split. Who knows what will happen next?
Whose fault is that?
I'm just gonna go ahead and move on to the outro screen here. We will see you all next week. We love you all so much. Thank you to Laura and Ryak for the bits. Y'all are amazing. We're really looking forward to playing again next week. We'll see you then. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.